everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Well, good afternoon, guys. A little bit later than I wanted it to be. I've got Zelda because during the day she naps on the desk. So she's going to be right here in my arms while we're going over some of these. I have not jumped ahead. I know there's a lot of channels that are going in and reading like the autopsy stuff and all of that. I want to go from the very beginning, go in order, because these actually seem to be in order, which is interesting. So yeah, we're going to definitely keep on with the way that we're doing things. Now, the title of this says 16 through 30, but if we get through more than 30 in like this 2.5-ish hours that I want to be live today, and then go live again tonight, then I'll like change the thumbnail. But that's what the plan is so far. Let me see who's all in here. Hey, Jojo, how you doing? DKM, how are you? Cinnamon, oh, I'm allergic to you. Hi, Bella. Hey, Duckman, Allison, B, Mish Girl, B, Helene, Donna, Kimberly, Nicole, Sadie, Kathy, Melissa, Polly, Patty, Jennifer, Wong, Amanda, Michelle, Kelly, Angel, Ashley. I got more sleep. I forced myself to get more sleep, so that's good. Have anybody else slept any better? Not really, honestly. I was up for like a couple hours in between. I'm like, I need to go back to bed. But I couldn't get off my phone trying to see what everybody was talking about. Yeah, we're going to do 2 lives a day for now until Sunday for sure, so that we can try to get through as much as this of this as possible, because there's so much, and this is just Moscow. And I know that we're going to be getting some other information soon, because there's a lot of FOIAs out there. Lots of FOIAs. I have lots of FOIAs with lots of other agencies. Zelda, you've got to lay down. So we're going to see. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to see what they have to say. I am taking some little clips from the first part and I'm going to do just like little snippets of like the most important information. Like in the first session of documents, we hear that Dylan heard an actual factual scream, that Bethany feels like there was some sort of firecracker sound and a light, which to a lot of people equals flashbang. And yeah, lots of different things, like a backpack being in the backyard, being just like discarded in the backyard. But obviously there's like nothing from that because there's no match to him on it or anything like that. And now we find out that the slider was a little bit ajar and that they actually did know from the very beginning, like which direction, hey Don, which direction they actually like came in. Hey MDP. So all of that about like not knowing stuff was all a lie. And that's what caused so much of the bullshit, because they refused to come out and say the simplest things. It's honestly just odd. It's just really, really odd. And then we're getting more information about Jack Showalter. I know that Jen and James posted something in here, right here, that there was 95 blood samples taken from Showalter's apartment. I'm sorry. What? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Lots of things in these. We're going to be having a field day. Hey, Louisiana Ball, how you doing? We're all doing good. Thank you so much for asking. I hope everything's good on y'all's end too. So many questions about what's happening. 2 months. Whoop, whoop. 2 months. Don't forget Monday. This upcoming Monday is our members only live. Where even though we're not done with the book, I'm still going to be giving away the book and we'll orchestrate it from there, because obviously the book got pushed aside like that unknown male DNA while we have these new documents so that we can see what's actually going on here. Let me go ahead and get this situated as big as I can. Now, this is supplemental narrative number 16. We stopped with number 15 yesterday. If you want the link to the website itself, it'll be in the description box of this video and the first one, to where you can go in and download them yourself if you want to. I have them all on a USB drive, so if they end up doing anything crazy, I've already got them. We're going to start with number 16. And this is from John Lawrence, not to be confused with the Lawrence name that we've already heard so many times. That's a Lawrence Mallory. This is Lawrence as a last name, not a first name. So it is not the forensics guy that we've heard so much from. Now, this was written on 11/15, and we're just gonna jump right in. On 11/15 of 22, when I arrived at work, I had several voicemails on my desk phone. I began reviewing the voicemails. Most of the voicemails were tips on the current homicide investigation. Many of the tips were about the live feed from the grub truck. Throughout the day, I fielded several calls from people with possible information they believed may be of importance to the investigation. I received a call from AM. I don't know if this is the person that actually went with them to the corner club or was just at the corner club, but there is a third person that was at King Road getting ready with Maddie and Kaylee that drove in the same car to the corner club with Maddie and Kaylee that they have avoided telling us about for almost 3 years. That information came out first in this damn book that I pushed aside. So there's that. Let me go ahead and put this trigger warning up here because there's lots of crap in here that's not good to hear. I heard there was a new mugshot, but I haven't looked for it, honestly. I'll look for it later. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is from AM. And then I guess they have the name or something else is redacted right here. I'm not sure. A told me she was at the corner club with two of the victims, Madison and Kaylee, the night before of the murders. She told me there was a college-aged male known by Madison. A told me that the male was wearing a black and white flannel shirt with a black shirt underneath that had writing in white letters that said antisocial. A told me the college-aged male who has been identified as CB. Oh, that would have been the guy who had his DNA in the nail clippings that were taken from Maddie's left hand. So, okay. Apparently, this guy who was identified as Cole B was acting creepy. She said he was not engaging people in conversation and he was just staring at the girls in the group she was with. A said she confronted him and told him to stop touching girls inappropriately or she would have kicked him out of the bar. So the guy that his DNA was in the left fingernail clippings of Maddie was going around being creepy as shit and touching on people? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. At one point, Madison introduced her, the girl who left the voicemail, to the guy and told her that she knew him. A said she let her guard down a little when it came to that guy and was later told by Madison that she only knew him through class in a group project in which they had worked on together. A said a short time later, that guy was kicked out of the bar. Why is his DNA on Maddie's hand? I mean, I know it's transfer, we can't pretend like it's not as redundant as we've been playing the whole time, but his behavior and him getting kicked out of the bar and then his DNA being, in those nail clippings is a lot. That's actually like a super lot. A short time later, I took a call from DJ. Unless this is Decor Jack and it's backwards. Blank J told me he works at the blank. Jay said he had a regular customer by the name of GP who comes in almost every day. Okay, so it might not be Jack and it's not telling us the name of the business. They closed that off. Okay. Jay said P, so I guess we're going by last names here. Jay said P makes everyone feel insecure because of the way he acts and the dark things he says. Jay told me P lives in the area of the homicides. I looked up P, names and number in Spillman, and it shows an address on Conestoga. Oh, hold on. Zelly's on the run. Hold on a minute. She snaked her way behind my computer screens. I have two monitors. She sneaked her way behind my computer monitors and had just sat here between my monitor and my microphone stand, and she was trying to slither her body underneath the microphone stand to get up to where my makeup is, because she likes to knock all of my like tube things, like stuff like this. She likes to knock these on the ground and chase them all over the house. That's what she was doing. She had to go. She has to go play in there with Dawn. Okay, so where were we at? So he looks up this P person. So this is two people. This is this Cole guy. I'm going to assume, so I can only say I'm 99% sure, but this Cole guy is the same one that was in the nail clippings on Maddie's left hand. And then we have another guy whose last name starts with P that makes people feel uncomfortable and that lives in the area. It says this person has had numerous involvements with Moscow Police Department over the last 2 decades. So this has to be an older person then. Some of which relate to possible mental health issues. Okay, well, let's not overlook what mental health issues can make you do. Who the frick is GP? They've got to be older to have been involved with stuff for 2 decades. That's wild. That's wild. Thank you for the $9.99 Milky Moo. Milky Moo. That's cute. Thank you for the $5, Gina. Hi, Jules. Me and my son want to say that we appreciate all the hard work you put into your videos. I wanted to thank you for it. Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome, Angie. Oh, and thank you. I've got something to say in Jen. I got y'all's PayPals earlier that you left me notes for, so I wanted to say thank you for that on the live. Okay, let me go ahead and get number 17 up because that was that one. So that's Cole. I'm going to assume Cole and another guy who was creepy and creeping people out that had involvement with things, that lived in the area. There's so many things. There's like so many things that are like, oh, all of this is a lot more powerful than all the rest of the crap you've been telling me y'all got against Bryan. So where are we at and what are we doing? Okay, so this is Justin Dean. This is on 11/15 of 22. And this is a phone interview with someone that has the initials RH. Who knows? Okay. On November 15th of 2022 at approximately, I think I can make this one more step bigger. I always have to try to like restructure it so y'all can see it. Let me try to mix this better. I always have to end up messing with this and it's so annoying. I want y'all to see it more than y'all see me. Okay. Okay, on November 15th, 2022, at approximately 12:48 hours, I spoke with the blank president, RH. This is probably Sigma Chi. We saw RH before. I need to go back and look at the interview, because there's an interview that went mainstream of a guy that was the president of Sigma Chi that just kind of made some like blank statements of nothingness, really. So I think this is who that is. They were talking to them about what happened at King Road. I asked H if she... Oh, this is a chick. Okay, so not Sigma Chi. This would be the other one. Okay, one of the other ones. I asked H if she knew the people who lived at the house. H said yes. She said they were a close group of friends who primarily hung out with themselves. I asked H if she ever went to parties at the house. She said she did a couple of times, but the parties were small. She said the roommates were a pretty tight group who didn't throw big parties. That's like the opposite of everything else we've ever heard about anything going on in that house, but okay. I asked if she knew about any use or sales from the house. She said she thought Xana and Ethan may have used, but nothing big and no one sold. I asked her if she knew whether there were larger quantities kept there at the residence, and she said no. That's interesting. That's interesting. H then told me she was at the Corner Club on November 13th of 2022 between midnight and 2 o'clock. She said Maddie and Kaylee were also at the Corner Club during that time. She said she heard a male was kicked out of the bar because he was acting creepy towards Mogen. So he was already like catching people's attention for how he was acting. Then Maddie tried to like calm it down by introducing him to people. And then he ended up doing something towards her that got her kicked out. We better have something in here from this Cole dude. We better have something in here because there's no way he wasn't one of their lead suspects. We know damn well there was an entire lead before they went left getting that phone call. And they were hardcore into that lead, like doing all kinds of things. I asked H if she had any other details about the mail or the incident, and she said no. I told her to get a hold of me if she had any more information she believed would be helpful. Interesting as shit, okay? Okay. Number 18. This is from Roger Lanier. He's the bald-headed guy that we heard a lot from, him and Fry. This is dated 11/16. This is Neighborhood Canvas Supplemental. On November 14th, 2022, at approximately 1000 hours, I responded back to 1122 King Road to conduct a neighborhood canvass in the daylight. Chief Fry was with me. We started from the rear of the residence and covered the small hill area just behind 1122 King Road. Right behind the residence, there was a small black bag that had obviously been out in the weather for some time. Now, is this the same as that black backpack that they saw back there? Because this is 3 days later, and if they've secured the crime scene and they've collected evidence, why is it still in the backyard? Why is this thing still in the backyard? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What? They shouldn't even be seeing it there. There was nothing in it. Okay, but there could be DNA in it. What are you doing? I cannot believe they left it there. How did they not instantly pick that up on the 13th and tag that shit? Okay. I'm just like, I'm appalled, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, but you shouldn't be shocked because we've seen 3 years of them literally doing nothing. We cannot sit here and pretend like MPD deserves any sort of pats on the back or accolades or attaboys or trophies, not even participation. Okay. Nothing they did led to where we are, which is a huge issue because what if they were actually looking in the right direction and then here came the feds and went, that way. And everything else they were looking at just gets pushed aside. And because that's the feds, they're not going to freaking ask questions. They're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to remain puppets with the hand up their asses. This is on my nerves. It hadn't even started that much and it's already on my nerves. Okay. There was nothing in it. We searched up the parking lot of blank Queen Road, then worked southwest along the hillside below the parking lot. We searched the fenced backyard of blank Walenta Drive and continued west above blank King Road. I don't know why they can't just put the addresses for the King stuff here at least. Okay. From there, I was joined by Sergeant Gunderson, and we went through the south side of blank King Road, around the back, then back west between blank King Road and blank King Road. I worked over to Queen Road, going north, then between blank Queen Road and blank King Road out of Taylor Avenue. We crossed the open play field from Taylor Avenue north to Nez Perce Drive at the crosswalk near blank. Because you couldn't just tell us what building that is. We walked the pathway north to the World War I Memorial Grove and stopped at that point. Well, just looking on the map where that is, we'll probably be able to determine what you're talking about. I returned to the intersection of Taylor Avenue and King Road, where I met with Chief Fry again. From the point, we proceeded east along the south side of Taylor Avenue, looking in the shrubbery and around the cars parked along the curb. At the entrance to the parking lot of blank Taylor Avenue, I located a black vest laying on the grass next to the fire hydrant. That's the same area that the black jacket was next to, I believe, because wasn't it next to a fire hydrant and on Taylor Avenue? I might have that wrong because I don't have I never really looked into that too much when it came to a lot of stuff. Because they just apparently, we were told for a long time, they just put the damn thing down. But in reality, whenever we went back through the information, they put it down to put it back how they had it and then came back and got pictures and they did take it in. So I feel like this is different because this says a vest. It appeared to have been there for several days. I checked the pockets and examined the vest, but didn't find anything of note. Okay, but you would find an empty backpack with nothing in it that's black. Then you find a black vest that has nothing in the pockets and you're not thinking, damn, maybe they started stripping their stuff as soon as they got out of there to try to get rid of everything. And maybe I need to take this in. Unbelievable. These are shitty cops. As we continue to walk east along the south side of Taylor Avenue, I noted a large amount of trash and various items on the grass and in the bushes, including various glass and plastic bottles, pipes of various types, like smoking type pipes, or I'm about to go beat somebody with this pipe, like the one I got next to my front door. Some articles of clothing, such as t-shirts and underwear, men's and women's, and various papers and litter. All appear to have been in the area for several days or weeks, and I did not determine any evidentiary value for any items I saw. Sure, let's just leave the drug paraphernalia all over the ground. From there, I went south down Linda Lane and walked west between blank Taylor Avenue and blank Linda Lane, then north of the easternmost building of blank Queen Road, then up to the parking lot on the north side of Queen Road, back to blank Queen Road where I started. End of report. So y'all left the backpack there for days, and you found a black vest, and you didn't even bother to like take it in to have it tested for anything at all. Talk about inefficient and useless. Okay. This is one from John Rosinski. And it's an interview with somebody with initials KN. Let me try to make this bigger again. Okay. KN. Okay. On 11/16 of 22, I spoke with KN at the substation on the University of Idaho campus. I asked K, I'm going to assume, no, they're not backwards because they had Cole's name CB. Okay, so they're going by the first name. I asked Kay if she had any special relationships with any of the victims, and Kay said she was really good friends with Xana and met Xana freshman year. Kay said she was also close friends with Kaylee Goncalves and met her freshman year during recruitment. Kay said she knew Kaylee the best. I asked Kay if Kaylee hung out or associated with anyone with violent tendencies. Kay said no and expressed she was confused about the incident because what she saw on the news. Kay said Kaylee mainly stuck together with her roommates, Xana, Bethany, Funk, Maddie Mogen, and Dylan Mortonson. Kay said that Kaylee also hung out with King girls, which were JT, NF, BD, and AV. I asked Kay if Kaylee was involved in using illegal substances, and Kay said just coke, probably. Look, I know people experiment with stuff, and I know that this is the age where a lot of people do that. I didn't do this. Okay? I didn't do this. I started smoking cigarettes at 15, cowboy killers, and went to menthols by like 17 and smoked cigarettes for 20 years. And I don't even like getting past a certain point whenever I do drink because I have children in this reality. I've never dabbled. I never had the want to. So whenever I see stuff like this, some people might not like the way that I might exaggerate about it, but this is who I am when it comes to substances and stuff like that. I don't play with stupidity because that's what it is to me. It's freaking stupid. The first time you do anything, you could ixnay, and that's dumb to me. So again, I know this is the age where people do things, but if I say something y'all don't like, y'all just need to remember, I don't dabble, never have, so I don't understand it. I understand people that have addiction issues. I understand that's a whole nother level of something else, but I don't understand this. Especially snorting up something that can go straight to your brain. I'm sorry. I don't see the appeal to this kind of thing. I just don't. I asked Kay if she knew Kaylee doing anything, and well, she said coke and then cocaine. I could have sworn because, again, I'm not really all that much into all this kind of stuff. Kind of figured it was pretty much the same thing because she said just coke probably, and then this person asked if she knew if Kaylee was doing that stuff. I was under the impression it's the same shit. And Kay said no, but she knew that Xana was pretty into it. Now, remember, something else we found in the first set of documents was a rolled up $2 bill, which, again, that's something that, like, I give to my kids because it's cute. So maybe not so much anymore. And blue powder. So I don't know if that means that it was, like, something with fent in it or if it was something else that was crushed up. There was a lot of lots of different answers of what it could have been. Lots of different answers to what there could have been. So I don't know. I have no idea. Detective Dean asked if Ethan Chapin, which is Xana's boyfriend, was into two, and Kay says she did not know. Kay says she didn't know Ethan that well. Detective Dean asked if substances were being sold from the house or if the substances were used more for parties. She said that they were used but not sold. Detective Dean asked if there were large quantities in the house, and this person said no. So, and like we also talked about from in the book, this kind of thing, and it being like a very specific type of situation when it comes to substances, was being talked about on Yik Yak between the University of Idaho students on their like special message boards and stuff like that. Day one, within hours. This kind of thing was being talked about. Xana and Ethan, like this, were being discussed, and Emma Bailey was being also discussed within hours among the students. So it is pretty important. I asked Kay if Kaylee ever mentioned anything about having a stalker or having concerns about anyone, and Kay said no, which is something else that we're trying to figure out why they went so hard on that from the beginning, because there was never any inkling about that at all. Even back then, before we had an arrest, there was no proof of stalking from, again, before we even had a name. Kay also said Kaylee never mentioned anything to the girls. Kay asked if we saw the Twitch stream. I asked Kay what she saw in the stream, and she mentioned that there were 2 guys. I asked Kay if she recognized the 2 guys, and Kay said she did not. Kay said her friend PC and G, so I guess this is like a nickname, were at the grub truck and saw Kaylee and Madison. Kay said P mentioned that the 2 males were being weird. I asked Kay if she or anyone recognized anyone from the grub truck stream, and Kay said no. I asked Kay if she was familiar with the fraternity members of blank, and she said yes. I'm going to assume that one's probably Sigma Chi, even though it's like hella long. I don't see why it wouldn't be that one that they're asking about, but I could be wrong. I asked Kay if there was anything mentioned why the males were labeled as weird. Kay said she thought one of the males nudged the other male like, oh, those are your girls, go and get them. Kay said that P would be worth talking to because she was there during that time. So P is a chick. Okay. I need to keep note of all that stuff. I asked Kay if P spoke with Kaylee, and Kay said she might have said hi, but wasn't sure. Kay also mentioned that ZM, is there someone named like Zach or Zoe or something like that? ZM hung out with Kaylee and Madison all night at the corner club. I wonder if ZM is the initials of the one girl that got ready with them and drove over there with them in the car. Rode over there with them in the car. I asked Kay if any of the victims had any issues with anyone, and Kay said that Kaylee was unproblematic and peaceful. Okay. Kay said she can't imagine someone with violent tendencies around her. Kay said she felt the same way about Madison. Kay said, if anything, maybe Ethan and Xana. So far, I feel like a lot of stuff that I've assumed is sort of accurate, because I've questioned this whole time why everything about Xana and Ethan has been so hush-hush. Why do we not have any proof about what happened to Xana and Ethan? And so far, everything that we're reading is something bad about Xana and Ethan and nothing bad about Kaylee and Maddie. And that's not putting anything on anything, okay? This is what people are saying. This is not me, oh my God, you're talking shit about the victims. No, I'm reading a freaking police report. Calm it down. Sit down. Hush yourself, okay? I don't understand what's going on with all of the silence over the past 3 years. All I know is that it's been deafening, and it's been a huge, huge question. I have said it from the beginning. It's like there's a huge separation. It's Kaylee and Maddie and Dylan and all of this. Look over here, look over here, look over here. Dramatics. Even as of yesterday, who got on the microphone and cried and cried and cried into the microphone without her face turning red? We saw the photos. It didn't matter how far away it was. Her face wasn't even red, which is odd to me. I'm not going to sit here and just pretend her face was barely wet and not red. She was making faces. She was making noises. But the physical things that happened to you whenever you were in those kinds of hysterics were not happening to her face. Okay? So then we have Bethany, Xana, and Ethan, and everything about their timeline has been nothing since the very beginning. Everything. And then we find out from Bryan, who has exculpatory evidence according to their investigators? Bethany. And so far, they've barely even mentioned anything about the party. Like in the first set of reports, whenever they're talking about that, it's like a fleeting half of a segment, half of a sentence about Bethany seeing them at a party. I don't even remember a time being spoken about. Okay. And remember, Dylan even said she just thought it was one of Xana and Ethan's friends leaving for the night. And remember, Steve Goncalves always said in the very beginning, and he repeated it I don't know how many times, they didn't have to go upstairs. Okay. I asked if Ethan and Xana associated with violent people. Kay said this because Kay said that Xana and Ethan were more outgoing and hung out with different friend groups. Maybe this was supposed to be yes instead of this, because then there's like an excuse and a reasoning. Detective Dean asked if Kaylee and Madison recently had a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. Kay said Kaylee dated a guy named Jack Decor, JD, for a couple of years, and Kaylee and Jack were high school sweethearts. Kay said Jack was a really nice person. Kay said she spoke to Kaylee a couple of days before the incident, and Kaylee said once she graduated, she was looking for an apartment in Texas, in Austin, where her company was. Kay said Kaylee met a guy from Texas that is already living in Texas, and they were going to be roommates. There was a post. I don't think I saved it, but some of you guys might have seen it. There was a post of Kaylee basically like looking for like roommates in Austin. I remember that. Who is you, bro? I would love to know who this person is. Because regardless of where they are in Texas, they're not very far from me. I would love to know who this person is. I asked Kay if Kaylee and Jack were still together when Kaylee mentioned that to her. And Kay said no, that they were already broken up. Okay. Kay said that Jay mentioned that Kaylee attempted to call. Okay, so this would be Jack. Kaylee said Jack mentioned that Kaylee attempted to call Jack around 3 o'clock, asking if he was up. Kay said she didn't think that Jack replied to Kaylee because he thought it was some type of booty call. Ooh, I told you. I've been saying that from day one. I said, why would he want to answer the phone in the middle of the night, knowing that she is drunk as hell? She's barely just there for the weekend, regardless of the situation that ended up happening, because it's tragic what happened. Okay. But it's not like he knew when he was ignoring her calls that he was going to wake up the next morning and she was going to be dead. He figured she was going to wake up the next morning and go do whatever she was going to do and keep on her plans to go to Texas and forget all about him, is what he thought. So I said, why would he want to answer the phone? Just to be hurt again because she's taking off. I don't blame him for not answering the phone. And this is the exact reason why I said she was probably calling. But I think that's just in his head, because now that we have more information about Murphy from these last documents, I really feel she was really trying to find out where the frick Murphy was. So maybe he wasn't paying attention to the text messages. Maybe there wasn't a voicemail. Maybe there was a voicemail, because that's another thing that's been a huge discrepancy. The Goncalveses came out at one point in just one interview. Some mainstream person asked Stephen Christie about these phone calls back to back, and they mentioned hearing a voicemail. They mentioned Kaylee said something about them having a dog together. She was just trying to get Jack to come over. Even they were saying she was just trying to get Jack to come over. Well, this is why. Okay. All of this stuff now with Murphy is hella creepy, because it ends with Bethany getting a visit in her room, not knowing where Murphy is. And then the next thing she knows, she's getting woken up by a flashbang. Where's the dog? Outside for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Did whoever planned to do this kind of crazy stuff see the dog outside and snatch the dog up and hide the dog? And then as soon as they left the neighborhood, they let the dog back out. And that's why the dog's barking for another, whoever knows how long after the car leaves. Because now I have 1,000 more questions about the dog that I already had. This is annoying. Okay. Detective Dean asked how they knew that Kaylee attempted to reach out to Jack, and Kay said because Jack told them. Kay said she thought they found out after people were asking Jack if he knew anything about what happened. Detective Dean asked if Madison had a boyfriend, and Kay said yes, and they call him S. What is his last name? Jake something. I can't remember. And said she thought his first name was Jay, which would be Jake. Kay said that they are still together. Kay said she does not think they had problems, and he was a good guy. Detective Dean asked what he looked like, and Kay said that he was short, maybe 5'7", and balding. Kay said he had brown hair and was skinny. Kay thought he lived in Coeur d'Alene. Pretty sure it was Boise. Kay said B was Madison's little. That would be Bethany. Kay said Kaylee and Madison were the closest out of all of the roommates. Detective Dean asked if D had a boyfriend. That'd be Dylan had a boyfriend. She said yes. And that his first name was QK, which would be, isn't it like Quinlan or Quentin? Something like that. Quinlan, it's something like that. And he lived in Boise. He's the one that said he had never been down there before, but there was photos of him in the area like with her. So there's that too. Kay said that Q was nice and hardworking, said that Q had epilepsy and was not a violent person. Kay said she was not aware of any issues between roommates. I asked if Kaylee hung out with any other males. Kay said Kaylee was talking to a guy named MB, who was a member of blank. So MB is the dude, is that the quesadilla guy? Or is that the guy that she was actually like full on dating? Because I am under the understanding that they were actually like dating. Kay said they had a schmedual relationship and would hook up here and there. Kay described M to be over 6 feet, brunette, medium build. Kay said he was serving as vice president to blank. So he's like a fraternity vice president. MB. I don't know who MB is. Like, I'm pretty sure they're all over, like, all the news clips about the fraternities. So it's nothing but to, like, go back in and pay attention to the names. I asked Kay if there was someone else Kaylee spent time with, and Kay said no, unless Kaylee met someone at the bar that night. Kay did not know if Kaylee met anyone in particular, but heard a male got kicked out for being creepy towards Madison. Okay, that's number 2. Homeboy's being creepy towards Madison, and his freaking DNA is on her left hand. Unbelievable. Kay said J and Z could probably have more information because they were also at the bar. Kay said the last time she spoke to Kaylee was at 1700 hours on 11/13 of 22. Kay said that Kaylee showed up with all of Kaylee's roommates at her apartment, the Whites, sometime between 1430 and 1500 hours. Kay said they left sometime between 1700 and 1800 hours. I told Kay I was aware of a social media post of all of the roommates pictured together, and Kay said that was at her apartment, which we knew it was over there, but we also learned in the book that Hunter Johnson was the one who took all those photos. I asked Kay if she has ever been over to Kaylee's house before. I asked if people usually use the Wi-Fi, and Kay said she was unsure. Kay said they usually leave their doors unlocked, and everyone knows it's a blank out of house. It's a blank out of house? What does that mean? It's a blank out of house. What does that mean? I asked why Kaylee lived in a house with a different sorority, and Kay said that Kaylee and Madison have been best friends for several years and spoke about living with each other. Well, there's multiple sororities in there, not just like 2. Kay said that Kaylee was still close with her freshman-sophomore friend group. I asked Kay if she knew she was aware of any cameras in the area, and Kay said no. Detective Dean asked Kay if she thought anyone in the area that seemed out of place, and Kay said she thought while she was at her apartment, and does not remember who, but said somebody mentioned about a random kid carrying a BB gun, but no one thought anything of it. Okay, but is it like a kid, like a 12-year-old is bored, or is it like someone else? Kay said she had reached out to B on 11/13 after the incident, but she did not reply. That was probably Bethany, because remember, Olivia just said in that interview she did with Bryan Inton that after all of this time, she's yet to speak to them. That they didn't even respond to her whenever she was messaging them on social media to find out what the hell was going on. Neither one of them responded. That's unacceptable. I don't give a damn. Yes, they did owe you that damn answer. The fact that she's like, they don't owe me anything. I could never be that way. Not with so many unanswered questions. I could never. Sorry, not sorry about it. I could never. Kay said maybe EA, which is probably Emily Allant, has reached out but was unsure. I asked if anyone has reached out to D or B, which would be Dylan and Bethany, and Kay said maybe EA. Okay, that's the same exact thing, just written 2 different ways in the exact same paragraph. Okay, let's go to the number 20. Like, this information is wildly dumb. I cannot believe, like, everything that's going on here. So much ridiculousness. I don't even. Okay, let me get this back open. Insane. The more information we get, the more stupid this is. Okay, this is Aaron Morris, and it's jumping to 11/17/22 being the date that this was written. This is an interview with J.N., and this is taking place, it looks like, at the Kibbe Dome. On 11/17/22 at 14:30 hours, I responded to the University of Idaho Kibbe Dome to interview J.N. Captain Barrett stated, "In possibly had information regarding the homicide. In took Detective Dean and myself to a conference room to speak. In stated on Sunday, 11/13/22, between 900 and 1000 hours, he was walking his dog. He stated that he walked by the first time." Oh, this is the neighbor. So this is no longer really technically a rumor. So we heard this originally like on the news, actually, like in the news, like in the MSM, you can't trust them for shit type news. Now it's in a police report. Front door wide open. Same time frame. 9 o'clock in the morning. Interesting. He said he walked by the first time he noticed the front door to 1122 King Road on the north side of the building facing campus was wide open. He stated he knew it was a party house, so assumed someone was too intoxicated and forgot to close the door the night prior. In stated he walked his dog up Taylor Avenue to Blake Avenue and then down Sweet Avenue. He said the walk took him approximately 1 hour. In stated when he walked back to his apartment around 1100 hours, the front door was still wide open. In said he was unsure if the information was known or not, but thought he should report it. I asked In if he knew anyone who lived in the house. He said not personally, but in passing. I thanked In and cleared. So the door was just wide the frick open for hours. 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 And we're supposed to believe that the damn dog was sitting on Kaylee's bed for hours and hours and hours and hours with her bedroom door open and the front door wide open and the damn dog didn't run outside. The amount of stupid they must really think that we are to like just fall for everything that they have tried to tell us. I'm sorry, but no. This isn't even making any damn sense. This is making more like less and less sense as we continue on reading. Because I'm sorry. What? Okay. Lawrence Mowry. Enter Mowry. 11/17/22. This is for cell phone warrants. On 11/16/22, I applied for and was granted the following warrants for the cell phone providers serving the area around 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. AT&T for a tower dump of all records and unique device users. Okay, we're not honestly going to read all of this because we've already read all of this. So I only want to read the stuff that shows any results. This is just the warrant being served. The coordinates for the tower that they wanted the information from. Yeah, we know all of this. We've seen all of this. See, and here they have the numbers all completely redacted, but in the search warrants that we saw 3 years ago, almost 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, they have at least the last 4 digits. So we have 1, 2, 3 AT&T numbers, 3 Verizon numbers, 2 T-Mobile numbers. For Inland, for T-Mobile. Yeah, we've seen the actual warrants for all of those. So there's really nothing there to look at, to be honest. Okay, so let's go to the next one, which is also Lawrence Mowry. And this just says AG files. Whatever the frick that means. Olivia Goncalves, maybe, because that's a long last name, and I see SG, and it's talking about Kaylee, so I bet you that this is something from Olivia. Okay, on November 15/22, I received an email from SG, given the context, Steve Goncalves, the blank of Kaylee Goncalves. He stated he had access to some of Kaylee's messages and phone calls. Steve stated he would have blank Olivia contact me about those files. This most likely says Kaylee's sister blank and comma Olivia contact me about those files. I was able to speak to Olivia and she sent me various files, including an image from the Spokane Review showing a camera on a nearby residence, text messages between Kaylee and JD, so Jack Decor, text messages between Kaylee and her Uber driver. There's E. It's not a freaking Uber. I cannot stand that they keep calling it an Uber. You do not send text messages to your Uber driver. That is all done through an app. There is a like special number that it goes to. It's not the person. These are direct text messages. I don't understand why they keep putting Uber in here. It's just pure laziness. It's Uber laziness is all it is. A recent phone call list and video from the Grub Truck Twitch TV feed. I attached these files to the case. The communication between Kaylee and Decor was located on Decor's phone, examined, and the Twitch feed was previously downloaded. So basically nothing they sent over was anything new to them, is what he's trying to say. In the image showing the camera, it was found that the residence at Blank King Road, the SD card from the camera was brought to the Moscow Police Department, but was the file system of the card was not recognized by any of the forensic computers. What address is this? What freaking address is this? They're trying to say now that they couldn't get anything off of it? Okay, so then they ended up getting a whole nother, like, copy of it from a phone, and this is where they have the person walking towards the dumpster. Unbelievable. Like, you should have every program available to be able to open all of these things. The card was returned to the owner and reinstalled into the camera. On November 17th, Officer John Rosinski recontacted the owner of the camera, PC, via phone. He stated she was out of town, but sent a video to Officer Rosinski showing a figure walking to the dumpster and appeared to look inside. We've seen that on lots of channels. To preserve any potential evidence on the camera, I asked C if we could seize the entire device, including the SD card, to which she stated yes. C stated she would not be back in Moscow until approximately 11/28/22. I directed C to contact me when she returns to her residence, at which time I would attempt to connect the camera back to her Wi-Fi router and view video from the device. What? So you just take the SD card into your hillbilly freaking police station, can't run it one time, and you just give up and give it back? You put no effort. You put no effort into anything, and then you had to wait until after Thanksgiving to do anything about it again. Jesus Christ. They, you know, it's funny because the book, it's always like, oh, they think that we're just a bunch of Keystone cops. Well, you're not proving that you're not. You're proving that you're stupid. You're proving that you leave evidence on the ground in the backyard of a murder house. You're proving that you just take one little attempt to try to do anything, and if you can't figure it out, you give up and toss it back. You're useless. This is so stupid. I cannot believe the kind of bullshit that we're reading right now. There's nothing normal about any of this. This is not the way that any of this should be going. There's so many mistakes here, and I don't even actually know what the frick I'm doing. I just know that this is stupid, okay? Preservation of Facebook. On November 18th of 2022, who is this from? Lawrence Mallory again. On November 18th of 2022, I received an email from AG, probably Olivia, showing a screenshot of a Facebook post from DM. I would assume that means Dylan Mortonson. I'm assuming. In the post, the account, the username was blank, reported details about the incident. I searched for this user and found a user ID of blank. This account had an avatar similar to the M avatar. If it's not Dylan, then who could it possibly be? So what I'm understanding from this is that Dylan took a screenshot. See, it can't be Dylan because Olivia said they haven't talked to them. This is really confusing. Okay, so DM had a Facebook post. In the post, there was a username. See, this is written all kinds of jacked up. I received an email from Olivia showing a screenshot of a fake Facebook post from DM. Meaning in the email, there was a screenshot. And in the screenshot, there was a Facebook post from somebody named DM. But then it says there is a whole other username in there. And that this username was reporting details about the incident. And the other user ID is like blanked out. Okay, well, I don't understand that wording about how they're putting this in here. And if it's from DM that sent it to Olivia, then how can Olivia say that they haven't talked to each other? So them just putting the initials of this in here is confusing. This account had an avatar similar to the M avatar. So this other account that's posting something about the incident was mimicking DM's profile picture. Is that how I'm understanding this? I was able to pull up the account and it appeared to have the following friends associated with it. Blank, 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 blank. So they're not going to even tell us who this is, what this is. LM. Who the frick is LM? So somebody on Facebook 5 days after the incident was posting a bunch of stuff. This doesn't sound like it's Papa Roger. I mean, it could be, but I don't think it is. I'm not sure about the dates with Papa Roger. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notebook. But this portion right here, like, you can't tell us you never heard from them if this is about them. sending you something. So this might not be Dylan, but it sure probably is Dylan. Unless Dylan sent it to somebody else and then somebody sent it to Olivia. Like, there's really no telling, honestly. So these accounts, these 4 accounts that were like associated with this account, they were all preserved. Who the frick are they? What did the post say? Where's the email? I wish these had attachments so that we could see what they're talking about. Okay, so here's Lawrence Mallory again from 11/18, and this is about the grub truck video. On November 13th, 2022, I was informed 2 of the victims had been patrons at the grub truck located on Main Street in Moscow, Idaho. I was also informed grub truck streams live feeds of their customers and sales via twitch.tv. I was able to locate the Twitch account Grub Truckers and locate the stream from the November 12th through the 13th, 2022. This stream was labeled the Carbonara Effect and will never reveal our secret ingredient, and located at, there's the web address. In the video, Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie Mogen are seen walking into camera view on the video at 3:43 and 1 second. They are accompanied by a male, later identified as Jack Showalter. Goncalves orders and receives food. At 3:53 and 31, the girls are seen walking around the truck and leave the area. Showalter appears to be talking to another patron and does not see the girls leave. Showalter then raises his arms in a what fashion and walks away in a different direction than the girls. And they saved it as evidence. Okay. Boy. Yeah, we're probably going to go through more than 30 because it's only been an hour. And these are relatively short. Okay, so this is a follow-up, SB follow-up, and it's being written by Aaron Morris. On 11/18/22, I was asked to conduct follow-up on SB. Who is you? Who is you? I was told B was contacted on 11/17/22 by MPD and ISP officers. I was asked to watch video from 1200 hours on 11/12/22 to 1300 hours on 11/13/22 to see B's movements during the homicides. On 11/12/22, B left his dorm at 12:05. He was wearing a black long sleeve shirt and black sweats. At 12:53, he returns. At 15:03, he left again wearing a black beanie, black gloves, and a white jacket. At 19:48 hours, he returned to the dorm without the beanie, gloves, and jacket, but then left again at 19:52 hours with a backpack. So he left with the beanie, gloves, and a jacket and came back without any of it whatsoever, and then comes back and gets a backpack and then takes off again. B was gone until 11/13/22 at 12:25 hours when he returned to the dorm. So, wow. He was not home at the time of the crime. Well, that's interesting. He would have gotten home 30 minutes after the 911 call. This was reported to ISP. Who the frick is you? Who the frick is you? Okay. Which one is this? We're on number 26. This is another one from Lawrence Mallory. And it's about Uber location request. It's not Uber. You idiots. Unbelievable. Okay, this is okay. I'm trying to like skim through because I'm trying to figure out why the frick we're still talking about Uber here. But let's just read it. On November 11th, 22, I logged into the Uber law enforcement portal and submitted an extingent preservation request for any location data associated with the Uber driver named EG with the phone number of blank, Eric Gower, who has a wife that worked in the admin department of Moscow Police Department at the time that this was happening. That was also associated with the University of Idaho, and people apparently had his cell phone number. Due to the nature of the investigation, Uber recommended an extingency request for the preservation. See, at this point, I wonder if he's even come forward yet, because we heard that it wasn't like immediately. And every story about how he came forward didn't make any sense. Because if your wife is a freaking, associated with MPD, you're associated with the school, you didn't get the vandal alerts. Because I bet you did. So the fact that you didn't come forward for days later because you didn't know what was going on, but then we're also supposed to be told that you took like time off work because you just couldn't handle it. How did you not recognize who it was at first, even though you were all up in their business all freaking night, but then expect us to believe you also needed a week off work because you couldn't handle what you didn't know happened? That whole story never even made any sense whatsoever. In a screenshot received from AG, which would be Olivia, it showed messages which appear to be from, I'm going to say Gower, his phone, between Kaylee and himself. The name of the recipient is Kaylee Uber. So he has her name saved as Kaylee Uber, or Kaylee's sister had this as Kaylee's Uber. Okay. It is unknown if Gower was on duty with Uber at the time of him picking up Goncalves and Maddie Mogen, and a third female, and a third unknown female. Well, we might have initials, but a third unknown female. Uber stated if the driver was on duty, it would have shown the location of the vehicle. If the driver was not on duty, Uber would not have the data. I was informed by Uber customer service this is common if the driver provides personal transportation services. At 14:34 hours, I received an email from Uber stating they received my request. I received an email at approximately 16:17 hours from Uber, which contained files regarding the Uber logs of Eric Gower. The record showed his location up until approximately 1:15 in the morning, where it appears no other information is found and Gower goes off duty. These records were attached to the case file. No warrant was requested or returned as Uber provided the data via the exigent request. Okay, but what about the 10 o'clock time? What about the 10 o'clock time? So he is an Uber driver, but he wasn't Ubering that night. He was doing personal things because his association with the university was for sober driving help. So he was actually Ubering officially up until 30-ish minutes or so before he goes to actually pick them up. Okay, so here's number 27. This is NRN. I've come to the assumption that NRN means no redactions needed because all the rest of them show like supplemental 26_redacted, and then some of them have NRN. So there's just nothing like sensitive in any of these. This is from 1119. Lawrence Mowry again. Devices to PFPD. PFPD. Post Falls. Okay, I was like, what the frick? Okay. On November 17th, 22, I contacted Detective Neil Uhrig at the Post Falls Police Department for assistance in examining the laptops and iPad located in the residence of 1122 King Road. Detective Uhrig arrived at the Moscow Police Department and received the following evidence items. Apple laptop ×4, 2 Dell laptops, and an Apple iPad. So that's all the devices that were taken from the house itself. What about like Apple Watches and phones? Are those going to be in a separate one? Okay, here's number 28. Lawrence Mowry again, and this is about a King Road video, but it has the address completely blanked out. I'm sure, hopefully, by the way that it's described, we'll be able to tell which house it is, but we've only ever really heard of one video so far, and that's the one from 1112. But I've always questioned, what about 1118? That Shark Tank house that Xana used to live at before she moved to 1122. I've always questioned, like, if you look at the map from before the house was taken out, like, closeness-wise, 1118 was actually physically closer to 1122 King Road. So is that where one of the cameras actually was? And they've just kind of like not been telling us that. I've really questioned that a lot. On November 13th, 22, I was informed of a possible surveillance camera located at blank King Road. Corporal Ryan Snyder had spoken with one of the residents at this location, PC, who had a camera using the Homicide Pro app on the porch of their dwelling. Corporal Snyder provided me with the username and password for the Homicide Pro account associated with C. I asked Corporal Snyder if this video was stored on the cloud-based system for me to view, or if C could download a copy of the video. I was provided a 32 gigabyte SD card from the camera, but the file format was not recognized by any of my forensic computers and prompted me to format the disk. Corporal Snyder informed me C could screen capture the video from her phone, and the card was returned to C to enable her to assist in the acquisition of the data. On November 17th, is this the same one that he just was saying this about? Or is this a whole nother one that they couldn't actually access because their systems are crap? On November 17th, 22, I requested the assistance of Officer John Rosinski to recontact C and see if she could provide the video from the camera. It's the same person because it's talking about how this person's not going to be even back until November 28th. Okay. Anything new in here besides that? Okay. Officer Rosinski sent him a video of a male subject walking by the camera at approximately 3:20 hours towards the dumpsters on blank. They didn't even put like on what. It just instantly goes to Officer Rosinski contacted me. So the positioning, so the address where the dumpster is or the location where the dumpster is wasn't even put into this report, technically, because it goes straight on to the officer's name. Officer Rosinski contacted me and I spoke to C and requested permission to remove the camera from the residence, and she consented. Now I heard that the 11-12 camera, like in the front, that bulbish camera that takes like has the 3-point turn, that one was physically removed from the house. I wonder if that's this one. Is there a dumpster right there that you can see though? I'll have to go back and look now. Based on my training and experience, I know many of the different video surveillance cameras use a first in, first out storage retention system. This means the newer data overwrites the older data. I was concerned data may be lost the longer the camera continued to record footage. I requested assistance from Officer Aaron Morris to go to the residence and unscrew the camera from its location. The camera screws into a common light bulb base, commonly found on patio porch fixtures. Officer Morris returned a short time later with the camera and the SD card. That would have had to have been that one. Because that was a big conversation when the Linda Lane camera stuff came out, and then Steve Goncalves sent Brett Norton a still of the 11-12 camera and said that he had the actual like footage from that camera, and that's whenever he was like the noises and stuff in Linda Lane, they're not matching. Like there's stuff that's different. It's not like real audio. So I wonder if this is this one, because I don't see how it could be another one. But if this is the case and they couldn't get a hold of it, then how the frick did the Goncalveses get a hold of it and be able to access it and actually watch it if the cops couldn't do it with all of their forensic computers? Maybe they went in and like screen recorded the whole damn thing. God, just so many more questions. On November 18th, 2022, I again attempted to view the contents of the SD card. I plugged the card into the write blocker and it still was not recognized by the computer. I used FTK Imager version 4.7.1.2 to make an image of the SD card. Now that the data was on a drive recognized by the operating system, I then used Axiom Magnet version 6.5.0.32778 to parse data from the card. In reviewing the data, I found over 13,000 individual images from the card. They appeared to be individual video frames from the camera. While attempting to view the data on the card, I received a forwarded email from CN, whose sister MK resides at the residence. The email stated that he was viewing the video remotely when Officer Morris removed the camera. He stated he saw a suspicious vehicle in the area and was concerned with the video footage stored on the device being overwritten. I was then put in touch with TL, another resident at blank King Road. L stated she would be back in Moscow at approximately 2000 hours. I met with Elle at her residence and asked again if she would be willing to assist in recording screen captures on her phone from the device. I explained to Elle I would replace the camera, gather the information, and then take the camera as evidence. I also explained to Elle I needed to take the wireless router since the camera was already linked to the Wi-Fi network. Elle stated she would consent and allow both items to be seized. I cannot go without Wi-Fi. They better figure out like a supplemental Wi-Fi for me while y'all take my shit. Just saying. Just saying. Don't leave me without being able to do my work or my college stuff. Like, that's wild. I reinstalled the camera in the light socket and it powered on. I was able to watch as Elle accessed the footage on the camera. During this time, the camera showed a vehicle entering the area at approximately 3:56 and leaving at a high rate of speed at approximately 4:20. Elle provided the videos to me. So he didn't see the car coming back in at 4 o'clock because their whole thing is like 4:04 is like the last one that it has the car coming in. Elle provided the videos to me. I uninstalled the camera and seized the wireless router. Both items were then taken back to the Moscow Police Department as evidence. On November 19th of 2022, while reviewing the videos located at 0356 and 420, it appeared the vehicle left the area and may have traveled on Willenta Drive. However, the video stopped. In an attempt to see further and gain perhaps a better resolution, I reconstructed the wireless network the camera operated on by powering on the wireless router. I downloaded the Homicide Pro app on my work phone. I was able to use the app and download the video clips. These clips included audio, which were not a part of the screenshots completed and were able to capture a longer duration. In the clips, the vehicle's exhaust and acceleration can be heard. Okay, so I'm no car expert. And this might sound stupid. That's fine. I'm still going to say it. When I was a street racer, back in my late teens, early 20s, I was married to my ex. That was a Honda Psycho. You didn't really just hear exhaust of a car unless somebody did something to it in order for you to hear the exhaust. Okay? That's not really something that you hear whenever it's just like a stock vehicle that hasn't had modifications to it, is the exhaust. You'll hear the engine. You'll hear the engine revving as it's trying to take off. But to say that you hear the exhaust, to me, that means something. Like I said, it's been a minute. But to me, that means something else. That means that something's maybe not stock. We've also had questions about the green car, too. About the way the camera shows stuff. So there's that. Okay. But apparently, in these clips, the vehicle's exhaust and acceleration can be heard, as well as seeing the vehicle leave at a high rate of speed on Willenta Drive. After capturing the clips, I disconnected the camera and Wi-Fi router and placed them into evidence. The videos were placed onto a DVD and placed into evidence. So this would be the first time that they ever actually saw the car, was 11/19 of 22. This would be the first time that they saw the car to start asking questions about it. But notice that there's no description of the vehicle. Like, they're not describing the vehicle at all. Whether it's four-door, hatchback, the color it looked. Unless I missed me reading something. I don't remember reading a description. Interesting. Okay. On to 29. This one does not need redactions. Surveillance video downloads, and this is from Dallinger. Okay. Okay. On November 19th, 2022, at approximately 1200 hours, I met with Detective Mowry, who tasked me with downloading surveillance video footage from several USB memory drives. Detective Mowry gave me multiple small vanilla envelopes which contained USB. Oh, this messed me up some. I gotta move it over. Okay. Which contained USB memory drives collected from multiple different investigators. Detective Mowry asked me to download the videos from all of the drives and to place them on an external hard drive, which he provided to me. We actually sort of heard something about this but it was Mowry that basically said that he would just sort of like put it all into a folder. Put it all into a folder. put it all into a folder. He didn't organize it. He didn't chronologically organize it. He didn't organize it by who submitted it. No organization whatsoever, just put it in a folder. So yeah, that explains a lot too, because we've heard nothing from the defense about the documents and the files, except for they were a jumbled ass mess, and they didn't bother to go in and organize them because they didn't want to mess up the record. They wanted to go ahead and keep using the files as the state was submitting them and keeping the same labels on them, so there was no confusion. And it started from the very beginning of them just not caring about like organizing anything. That's just so stupid. This should be top priority to make sure that nothing gets messed up. Once that task was complete, Detective Mowry asked me to copy all of the videos from the portable hard drive to the M drive on our City of Moscow network, where he created a folder where working copies of the videos could be stored. After downloading the videos from the individual USB memory drives, I placed them back into the manila envelopes they came from and sealed them with evidence tape. I did find 2 of the USB memory drives, which came from the same envelope, did not contain any video footage, and I returned them to Detective Mowry. So they were just blank? Well, actually, just because it says no video footage doesn't mean it didn't have other things on them. Once all the videos were downloaded to the portable hard drive, I then copied them all to the M drive to the city network and returned the hard drive to Detective Mowry. Okay. Here we are, number 30. This one is from John Rosinski, and this is a phone interview with PC. We've heard this initial before. I need to go in and like write down the initials with the context. Actually, not write down. I need to put it in the Excel spreadsheet so that we can go with it as we go. On 11/15 at about 13:48 hours, I spoke with PC on the phone. P said she was good friends with Kaylee Goncalves, but was also friends with Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin. P said she was a member of the sorority blank. P is currently a junior at the university. P said she was not aware of anyone that Kaylee associated with that had violent tendencies. P said she was not aware of Kaylee being involved in substances in any way. P said she knew people partied with those, but doesn't know if Kaylee or any of her other roommates are involved in that kind of thing. P said she did not know if any substances were being sold from inside the home. P said she was at a party earlier in the day at a friend's house at the Whites. P said at the apartment she saw Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan. P said they were all just hanging out, and there were other people there as well. P said there was nobody of concern at the apartment, and everyone present was a familiar person. P said she last saw Kaylee at the grub truck. Okay, so this is somebody that she was at a party with, and I don't remember them talking to a lot of people. We're going to have to go back and look at the grub truck again, just to like pay attention to the things that people were like calling notice to the police. P said she arrived after Kaylee. Okay. And said Kaylee was there with Maddie. P said Kaylee's demeanor was good and they struck up a conversation. Okay, so then she was one of the ones that she did talk to. Okay. P said Kaylee seemed really happy and said Kaylee and Madison were laughing. I mean, yeah, they didn't look concerned. The only thing that I noticed was that Kaylee was like in her phone, and she was so drunk that she couldn't see her screen on her phone. So she was like hunched over and her phone was like in her face as she was trying to text. But I wonder if it was Eric Gower she was texting. And maybe it just took her a while because she was so out of it. P said they did not mention what their plans were after the grub truck. Okay. P said Kaylee and Madison seemed a little intoxicated and believed they came from the club. P said Kaylee seemed coherent and was not stumbling or slurring her words. P did not know if Kaylee and Madison showed up to the grub truck with anyone. P said she later watched the Twitch video and it appeared someone did show up with Kaylee and Madison, but she did not recognize the individual. P said her friends did not either. P said after Kaylee got her food, she saw Kaylee and Madison walk in the direction of campus. P did not see anyone follow them. P mentioned that she saw in the grub truck video someone walking in the same direction. P said she heard there was someone concerning at the corner club. P said she heard the individual was being creepy towards Madison and was kicked out. Okay, so how many people are going to hear about this Cole guy who, again, his DNA was found in the nail clippings from Madison's left hand? How many times are we going to hear this dude was creepy towards Madison and got kicked the frick out because of what he was doing to Madison? Now, don't you think that makes him a good lead suspect, considering he got kicked out of a club after acting like crazy person, apparently some sort of creepy weirdo, and his DNA is on her actual body? And if she's the reason he got kicked out, then in his mind, maybe she is like the target of his anger. There's no way this guy was not the lead suspect. There's no way this man was not the lead suspect. Okay, P was not aware of any other males that Kaylee spent time with. P said she knew that Kaylee had an ex-boyfriend that went to U of I, but she understood they were on good terms. P said she knew Madison had a boyfriend that graduated from UI. P did not know his name. P did not know of anyone that Ethan and Xana hung out with. P said she wished she had more to share. I thanked her for her time and concluded the interview. That's like the 5th person to complain about this Cole guy. Unbelievable. And if this Cole dude is like one of the alternate suspects that's in the stuff that was sent by the defense and the judge acted that pathetic about it, that tells me so much more than what it already did. Honestly, let's be so for real. Okay, this is Danny Vargas. This was written on 11/21 of 22. This is transport of electronic devices to Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene. On November 16, 22, I transported the 4 cell phones belonging to Goncalves, Mogen, Kernodle, and Chapin to Coeur d'Alene PD and gave them to Detective Dustin Taylor at approximately 0700 hours. On November 17th, 22, at approximately 12:49 hours, I picked up the cell phones from Detective Taylor at CDA PD and brought them back to MPD and gave them back to Detective Mowry. So whatever they did, it only took a day. I guess it was just like all of the forensic downloads for real, though, maybe. On November 21st of 2022, I transported the phones belonging to Chapin, Mogen, and Kernodle to CDA PD. So again, with Xana's phone? Where's Goncalves' phone? Because up here, it's all 4 phones going to Coeur d'Alene, and then they got picked up. And then a few days later, they're going back, but they're not taking Goncalves' phone back to Coeur d'Alene. Well, isn't that interesting? And this is a different detective this time. On November 21st, 22, I transported 2 separate charging cords belonging to the electronic devices, these 2, to Post Falls PD and dropped them off with Detective Brad Johnson at approximately 10:30. I told Detective Johnson the cords were for the devices with Detective Neil Yorig received from Detective Mowry. So these are computer chargers. This is still confusing to me because they took all 4 phones on the 16th. Whenever they went back the second time, they didn't bring Kaylee's. Okay. All right, so here's number 32. Danny Vargas again. Okay, now I did hear there was some autopsy stuff. We're getting into the autopsies, guys. So I will say again, trigger warning, because I don't know if these are going to have wound stuff listed just yet or what, but just trigger warning because we're getting into medical stuff here. Okay. So this is 11/21 of 22. Spokane County Medical Examiner autopsies. Okay, this is a 5-page document. On November 16th of 22 at approximately 7:45, Latell County Coroner Kathy Mabbitt and I attended the 4 autopsies of Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves at the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office. There's an address they blanked out, but it's literally, you just Google it. Come on now. In Spokane, Washington. The 4 autopsies were all performed by Dr. We have her name already. This was one of the most ridiculous things in the very beginning of the case because it caused a lot of people to think a lot of things that were not true. In the PCA, whenever it has this information about like the autopsy stuff or like the bodies or whatever being found, when it comes to like Ethan's, it says redacted real hard in like a stamp. All that actually meant was that this was the redacted version of the PCA. But because it says something about the autopsy and they have like the person's name like redacted out of it, and it's something on like December 17th or whatever, all kinds of people thought that it had a bunch of medical stuff there about Ethan that they took out, and oh my God, what's it saying? What they hiding? No. It took forever to get people to chill out on that because it doesn't have anything missing. If you read the bottom of the page before it and you read the top of the next page, there's literally like a sentence in parentheses that gets completed. If you put the both pages together to see there's nothing actually redacted, there's nothing actually missing. That caused a lot of drama just because, people just don't really pay too much attention to things. Okay, Gary Tollison, a detective with ISP, observed 3 of the autopsies, Kernodle, Mogen, and Goncalves, as he arrived after the autopsy for Chapin was performed. So Ethan's was first. Okay, interesting. Kaylee's. These are the pieces of evidence that were collected. A DNA card, swabs from the hands, wrist, forearms, foot, ankles, privacy ones, head clippings, nail clippings, neck swabs, hand bags, because again, they bag the hands and the feet. Honestly, even if they're shoes, they're supposed to bag the feet to make sure that nothing comes off and nothing gets on, that there's no contamination. But we also see what they're wearing. T-shirt from the Corner Club that says nasty and inebriated, black shirt. So something from the Corner Club. Pants, Joe Boxer gray and black flannel. So she was wearing pants, like she was wearing like basically the clothes that she was wearing a full-on outfit. She wasn't in sleep clothes. This is pants, underwear, a black flannel that had like a t-shirt underneath it. So it would have been underwear, pants, black shirt, black flannel over the shirt. She still had her freaking earrings on. She was not going to sleep. How do they have her with her earrings on and in a full ass freaking outfit and they're trying to say that she was asleep in bed? I'm sorry? No. One sock, an Adidas sock, and then an SD card with the autopsy photos. All of the above listed items were released to me by KS on 11/16. Okay, here goes Maddie. So we're going to see, what she was wearing too. DNA card, hand swabs, wrist swabs, forearm, foot, ankle, privacy ones, head hair, nail clippings. And remember that left one. Handbags, short sleeve, pink shirt. She had on pants. Okay. Black Vandal Russell brand sweatpants and her rings. Her hair was also in a hair tie. She had on her false eyelashes. So she was wearing pants, like sweatpants, a short sleeve pink shirt. She had her hair back in her pony tie and she had on false eyelashes. Now this could be sleep clothes. A lot of people go and get the false eyelashes that are like the individual pieces that you get put in. But then again, there are some that they just like, glue on, adhese on, and then you can take them off at night. This one's a little bit back and forth. I can't really tell. It sounds like sleep clothes. Kaylee's doesn't. Kaylee's doesn't sound like sleep clothes at all. I could be wrong, but it doesn't sound like sleep clothes. Okay, so here we go to Xana. Now, what we're understanding from Xana is that she was found in a sweater and her underwear. She didn't have no pants on. She wasn't lounging around the house like that. She was apparently in her room, like hanging out in her room in her undies. Okay. DNA card. Hand swab. Wrist, forearm, foot, ankle, thigh. Privacy ones. Hold on a minute. They didn't do thigh. They did the other two, like they did the private part ones for the other two girls. But I guess because she was in her underwear, they went ahead and did a thigh swab. I wonder if they found anything. Then the privacy ones. They even did privacy hair too. They didn't have that on the other two. Again, probably because they had pants and stuff still on. Okay. Handbag, neck swab, nail clippings, foot bag. Okay, an Under Armour gray sweatshirt and beige Calvin Klein underwear. That's what she was wearing. There's no way she answered the door to get her food in her underwear because you don't know if it's some random ass dude walking up. I mean, even if it's a random ass lady like it supposedly was, you don't just answer the door in your undies. Trace evidence from left hand and trace evidence from the body bag. So there was something that they found that they consider trace evidence. Okay, so here's Ethan's. DNA, hands, wrists. Of course, it's wrists. They have it incorrect in here. Forearm, ankle. Privacy ones, those kinds of privacy ones, including hair. He was naked. There's no clothes for Ethan. Just 2 socks, a bracelet, and a necklace. Where's his clothes? I mean, some people sleep naked, and some people sleep naked with just their socks on. Wow. Necklace, bracelet, socks. He had no clothes on. Okay. Okay. Major crime prints. As part of the autopsies, major crime prints were taken from each of the victims by the Spokane County Forensic Unit. Chapin's prints were taken on 11/16 and released to me by TB on the same date. Kernodle's prints were taken on 11/16 and released to me by E on the same date. Mogen's and Goncalves' prints were taken on 11/17 in the morning by CL and LE and were left at the Spokane County Medical Examiner's office with L. On 11/17/22, I responded to the Spokane County Medical Examiner's office and collected Mogen and Goncalves' prints from A. Major crime prints taken by the following. Okay, so this is the same information. The exact same information. It's just in a different form. And they did hand and feet. Okay. At the conclusion of the 4 autopsies, I'm pretty sure her name is Vima Singh. Either Vina or Vima. Pretty sure it's Singh, though, S-I-N-G-H. Met with Kathy Mabbitt, Gary Tollison, and myself and told us the following. Okay, here we go. Get ready, guys. This is like the actual injuries. Are y'all ready? Trigger warning as shit, okay? Trigger warning as shit. Ethan Chapin's fatal injury was from a stab wound under his left clavicle, which severed his subclavian vein and subclavian artery. And also his jugular vein was severed. Ethan only had sharp force injuries. Okay. Xana Kernodle's fatal injuries were from 1 laceration to her right lung and 2 lacerations in her heart. Kernodle had 50 plus stab wounds. Mostly defensive. Xana had only sharp force injuries. For fuck's sakes, man. Madison Mogen's fatal injuries included a left lung laceration and a liver laceration. Madison only had sharp force injuries. Kaylee Goncalves' fatal injuries included left lung laceration, liver laceration, 2 subdural bleeds, a stab behind her clavicle, which cut her subclavian vein and artery. Kaylee had signs of sharp force injuries, asphyxial injuries, and blunt force injuries. Kaylee had 20 plus stab wounds. Dr. Singh said the weapon used was not serrated, single-edged, very sharp, and said a lot of force was used by the suspect. I will be uploading Dr. Singh's final autopsy reports to the case file when they are completed. On November 16th, 2022, at approximately 19:55 hours, I drove from Spokane County Medical Examiner's office to the FBI office located at blank, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and met with Special Agent Bryan Kohberger. Several of the clothing items collected during the autopsies were still wet and needed to dry in evidence dryers. That's wild because it's been like days at this point. S.A. Gunnarsson and I placed the following items in 2 separate dryers, dryer 1 and 2, in their evidence room, and I released the items to S.A. Gunnarsson. S.A. Gunnarsson signed for the items on 11/16/22 at approximately 21:02 hours. The items belonging to Goncalves and Mogen were placed in dryer 1, and the items belonging to Kernodle and Chapin were placed into dryer 2. They probably should have been all done separate. I'm just saying. This is what went inside the dryers. For Kaylee, it was handbags, the t-shirt she had on, the pants, the Joe Boxers, the black flannel, and the one sock. For Maddie, it was the handbags, the short sleeve pink shirt, the black Vandal Russell brand sweatpants. For Xana, it was handbags, foot bags, her sweatshirt, and her underwear. And for Ethan, it was just socks and handbags. I transported the remainder of the evidence items back to MPD and placed them into the evidence fridge in the MPD evidence room. On November 17th, 2022 in the morning, I drove to the FBI office located at blank, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and met with Special Agent Bryan Kohberger. I removed the dried items from dryer 1 and dryer 2 and packaged them back into their original bags. Along with the items I turned over to S.A. Gunnarsson on 11/16/22. I collected 2 additional items from S.A. Gunnarsson. One bag, which contained the drop sheet, filter, and security tag from dryer 1, and one bag, which contained the drop sheet, filter, and security tag from dryer 2. S.A. Gunnarsson released the items to me on 11/17/22 at approximately 11:28 hours, transported these items back to MPD. On 11/17/22, I worked with TS, MPD evidence technician, and booked in all of the items collected from the autopsies into MPD evidence. Wow. So only Kaylee had blunt force trauma. It does sound like she got the worst of it. Actually, it's pretty much like a match sort of between Xana and Kaylee. Because Xana had over 50 wounds. It says mostly defensive, but that's over 50. The fact that both Maddie and Kaylee have lung and liver lacerations tells me the person knew what they were doing. I don't see anything about the liver when it comes to Ethan. But we do have the lungs also being the same for Xana, but it's the right lung instead of the left lung, like it is for Kaylee and Maddie, which might be indicative of the hand the person was using. Because over here for Ethan, it's his left clavicle. But for Xana, it's the right lung, but then lacerations to the heart, which is also towards the left side. This is wild. Yeah, I'm going to look over here for a minute. Just Ethan, I think, is the only... no, there was another clavicle I could have sworn. Yeah, Kaylee and Ethan both have wounds around the clavicle. Yeah, they did this with her a lot. I don't see anything about the mouth the way that Steve Goncalves laid out. And then blunt force injuries. But it sounds like Kaylee was still in like full-on clothes, had her earrings on and everything. And Xana and Ethan might have just got done, you know, doing what people do when they're together and at night, you know. Maybe that's why he was just in his socks. Jesus Christ. That was a hard read. I'll probably end up having to clip that one out because so many people are curious about the autopsies, but I will do all those clips of stuff later. Okay, all right. Number 33. Number 33. How long has it been? Hour and 37 minutes. We're going through them. We are getting through them. Okay, so this is from Tyson Barrett. And this is on 11/22/22. University of Idaho camera footage. Okay. On 11/21/22 at around 14:30 hours, I met with U of I Deputy Director of Public Safety and Security, BL, regarding saved security camera footage on campus. We provided L an external hard drive to recover the footage, and he'd completed the transfer of information. After receiving the hard drive, I immediately turned it over to FBI agent Dave Bodley so his team could review the data. So you didn't look at it? There's not going to be a report from Tyson Barrett about whatever was on this footage? Okay. So now we have John Rosinski and 2 cigarette butts. Now we know that they did surveil someone in order to get their cigarette butts, in order to DNA test them to match stuff. And it looks like they took 2. Who are they for, though? And this is it for this one. Okay, on 11/21/22, I was asked by Detective Adams with the Idaho State Police to book 2 cigarette butts into evidence that he had collected. Detective Adams brought the 2 cigarette butts to the Moscow Police Department evidence room, where I watched him place them both into 2 separate ISP envelopes. I sealed the envelopes with evidence tape and signed the tape for both. The chain of custody was filled out on both envelopes. I booked the 2 envelopes into MPD evidence and requested that they be sent to the state lab. I took photographs of the cigarette butts and attached them to the case file. Okay. They don't even say for who, for what, for nothing. Okay, here's number 35. This one is from Justin Dean. This is a substance tip follow-up. That's also been some very interesting reads. Okay. This is from 11/22/22. On November 21st of 22, at approximately 11:57 hours, I was asked by Captain Tyson Barrett to follow up on a possible lead. Oh, here it comes. Mexican drug cartel, Mexican drug dealer. Okay, here we go. Jesus Christ. I just keep going back to the fact that Emma Bailey was being discussed by the students within like a few hours. That's just so like to me, actually. I was asked by Captain Tyson Barrett to follow up on a possible lead in the 11/22 King Road homicide case. I was told a Mexican rug dealer with the moniker starts with a C was possibly selling to several fraternities and sororities on the University of Idaho campus. Like, not even gonna like try to joke about it. We firmly believe that either my uncle's best friend killed him some way and then set the house on fire to hide it, or the Mexican cartel finally caught up with his baby mama and killed him in retaliation because she kept on snitching. All I know is that his report is completely redacted. Like, you can't read anything. So just reading this whole like Mexican drug dealer thing, you know, it's interesting. I told Captain Barrett I would contact several of my contacts to see if anyone knew of blank. At approximately 12:04 hours, I began contacting my fellow Quad Cities Rug Task Force detectives, Brett Damon, Colby Martin, and Bryson Ace. None of the detectives had heard of blank selling in the Quad Cities. At approximately 12:11 hours, I reached out to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or the ATF, Special Agent TJ Wahira out of the Spokane, Washington office reference blank. S.A. Wahira hadn't heard of this person, but said he would reach out to other agencies in the area about him. I also spoke to C something H at approximately 13:30 hours and JP at approximately 17:25 hours. H and P said they would never heard of C selling in the area. P said he would contact me if he heard anything. I also spoke with Brandon DeMeyer with Benton County Sheriff's Office in Washington at approximately 16:25 hours. Deputy DeMeyer hadn't heard of C, but said he would contact his local detectives about the name and let me know if he found anything. I'll be waiting to see if any information can be found out about C. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so now we have Tyson Barrett. This is 11/22/22 again. Okay. On 11/22/22 at about 11:20 hours, I met with L.E. at the U of I Office of Civil Rights and Investigations. I provided E with a new USB storage device to which she saved documents pertinent to the investigation. On 11/22/22 at about 11:30 hours, I met with FBI agent Alex Skelton at the police department. I gave Alex Skelton the USB storage device containing the documents E provided, and that's it for that one. Okay. Now we have another one from John Rosinski, 11/23/22. So we've just jumped ahead a day. And this is, does it say what it's for? Sometimes it has like a little description. OCIR files pickup. On 11/23/22, Agent Alex Skelton with the Federal Bureau of Investigations requested files to be picked up from the Office of Civil Rights and Investigations. Agent Skelton provided me with 2 thumb drives, HP and SanDisk. I transported the thumb drives to OCRI, where I met with L.E., Deputy Director of the OCRI. E downloaded files onto the SanDisk thumb drive. Once complete, E gave me the SanDisk thumb drive, and I transported both thumb drives back to Moscow Police Department. I returned both thumb drives to Agent Skelton. Okay, so now we have number 38. We might actually get through all 50 in this one. Oh, why did I do that? I gotta hit the other screen before I do that. Okay, make it bigger. So we might actually get through all 50 of these in this live so that we can start fresh with the next one. Bro, I've been wondering that. I'm glad I looked over when I looked over. So was it Ethan's blood going down the wall of the house? I really freaking question that. I'm going to have to go back in and look at the logistics of the outside of the house, where that spot was and what they're saying. Because if all of this in here, let me go right here. If all of this in here was cut and like his veins and his arteries and stuff were all cut right here, and his body was hanging off of the bed in a way to where his head would have been stuck between the bed and the wall, you're at a laid down position. It's basically like what you do to bleed an animal, because you do that here and then you lay them upside down. You hang them upside down. I don't even know how many times I woke up in the morning and looked out my back door as a child, and there's a deer hanging there 2 feet from my back door, scaring the crap out of me because it's just bleeding into a bucket. Okay. That's what this is reminding me of. Sorry if that sounds horrible, but that's just the reality. I've questioned that. Is it actually Ethan's blood that's coming out the house? Because it almost sounds like Xana's body would have been more towards the door. Yep, no, I've thought about that. The police reports claim it is. Like, not the like police reports, but like the interviews and stuff that we're seeing come out now. Yeah, the cops are basically, the cops are like, yeah, no, it's blood. It's, you know what? I've been seeing some color stuff come through. So I'll get back to you in just a second, Bryce. Let me go in order here because I have just not been paying attention. I mean, I've been paying attention, but I've been paying attention to the paper. So let me do all of this really quick here. Thank you for the $2 shenanigans. Thanks for the deep dive, Jules. Yeah, we need to look at all this. I'm glad that we have these because there's a lot of information in here. Thank you for the $5, Kimberly. So how does Kohberger, who doesn't have a criminal past or being a stalker, P weirdo, go straight to being well, see, and that's the thing. This would be more of like a mass because it's like a one-time event. It's not like separate instances. But I do agree. It's really hard, even with the stuff that we do know about like his substance abuse and like his, visual snow and the depression and the mental issues that came with that. I can't see him being able to physically do all of these things. I mean, just between Kaylee and Xana, that's 70 plus wounds. That's 70 plus times that a knife had to go in and out and cut through muscle and bone and all kinds of things. And sometimes the blade gets stuck. It's not like it's not like you're stabbing Jello. It's very wild. It's very wild. 1 month Stone. Thank you for being a member. $1.99 Tide fans. Thank you so much. $20 Layla. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. $5 Jules. Thank you. I'm going to do some research and see if I can find out if Kopaka and Payne went to SERE school in the 82nd after reading these injuries. I saw that you sent me another email about him too. I just haven't had the chance to sit down and read it. I want to pay attention to the whole thing. So I'll get back to you on that pretty soon. Do that. Because the injuries are very like specific. Like they basically knew where they had to cut him. They knew where they had to make wounds. You know what I mean? Like they knew. Thank you for the $1.99 Firefly. I appreciate that. And thank you for the $2.79 Bryce. Confirmed DoorDash driver did not see Bryan. Yeah, I've been seeing that on Twitter and like in comments that I've been getting on here too, that a lot of people are saying that the person that apparently she sees when we get to that portion of this has like lighter colored hair. And the only thing I can think of is David Barriocha. Because now they're trying to say that he was driving over there. Well, let me retract. The Amazon series that's based on the damn book by James Patterson, he says he was driving all of a sudden around 4 a.m. over there and then had a gut feeling, oh my God, I got to get home. In the book, he's walking across the lower 40 at 3:59 on the dot and suddenly has to get home. Does Molly know David? Does Molly know David? Not really. In the Amazon series, him and honestly, the sort of like goldenish lighter brown color that we've seen Kohberger have, and his hair is pretty much the same. Barriocha's just a lot more curly. Like it's just a lot more curly. Yeah, like lighter hair. So yeah. Oh, definitely. Something's definitely like not accurate. Thank you for the $4.99 Tide fans. I appreciate that. Thank you. Nothing could be hitting the microphone. You talking about my microphone? My microphone's up here. Like it's up here. Nothing's touching it. Is there a sound? Because it's not coming from the microphone getting hit. It's up here in the clouds. It gets way up here. So I don't know. Thank you for the 10 Dreamcatcher. Jules, have you got to the part where Payne has listed what's in the house yet? Actually, no. We haven't read a single report from Payne so far. Now, this is number 38, and there's 300 plus of these. So I don't know which one that's going to be in, but no, we're not there just yet. Let's go ahead and continue. Because we're going to get to 50 before I get off of this thing. And then tonight, we'll go through as many as we can tonight. I mean, with them being short, maybe we'll go through another 50. We'll see. We shall see. Okay, again, this is from Dallinger, and this is 11/28 of 22. And this is regarding transport of evidence to the state lab in Meridian. On November 18th, 2022, I met with Moscow Police Department Property Coordinator T.S. See, this is another thing. If you work for the police department and you're doing something in the case, I don't understand why we need to redact your name. You are a government employee. Why are we redacting the names of the people that just work at the police department? It's honestly kind of stupid because all you have to do is like look at the directory. All you have to do is like see how their email format is, see how they do the names whenever they do the email format, and then like email that person to see if they like actually are there or not. So I don't know why they feel the need to do any of this, honestly. And then there's not really a lot of information on this either. It's just these tags. So I guess if we go back to where they had the properties listed in some of the other reports, you can match that to those tag numbers. I then transported those items of evidence to Meridian, Idaho, where I turned them over to the Idaho State Police Forensic Services. And that's it for that one. Okay, so number 39. Oh, I've seen this list before. This is proof that there was a leak a long time ago. Y'all remember this? When it came to like who bought a knife where, and we just had like states and stuff. I remember seeing this a long time ago. That leak has been active for a while. Like hella active for a while. This is 11/28 of 22. There was no gag order for this date, but still. We've seen this before. I've seen this before. I know several of you have probably seen it before. Okay, eBay sales warrant. On November 26, 22, I requested and was granted a warrant for eBay. Actually, you know what? Might be making that noise. Let me mute this in case it makes noise while I'm moving it. Ariel's aerial bracelet. I had it hanging on the microphone. Maybe when I move, it hits it. We'll see if that changes something. Okay. November 26, 2022, I requested and was granted a warrant for eBay for the sale of the following items between January 1st, 2022 and present. And they have the knife and the leather sheath, and they have the ACNs right there. On November 26, 2022, at approximately 19:07 hours, I logged into the eBay law enforcement request system. I thought the ASIN was for Amazon. Maybe I had that wrong. On November 26, 2022, at approximately 19:07 hours, I logged into the eBay law enforcement request system located at this address. I received an email from blank@ebay.com providing me with an internal case number of blank. On November 28th, 2022, at approximately 11:05 hours, I received an email from eBay stating the files were ready to download. I logged into the portal and downloaded the files. In examining the files, eBay showed 0 purchases for the ASIN blank blank, blah, 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 blah. However, in examining the files, eBay showed several user IDs associated with the sale of ASIN, this one, so it's different than the one they submitted? No, they didn't have anything for $49.38, but they did have, so nothing for the knife itself when it comes to sales, but they did have people buying just a sheath by itself with the USMC logo. They had one in Arizona, one in Idaho, one in Pennsylvania, but remember, this is eBay, and that's not where they told us he bought it from. They're trying to tell us that they have proof he bought it from Amazon. So this one being from Pennsylvania is honestly sort of interesting. I'm just saying. Washington, Ohio, I believe that's Wisconsin. New York, why? Oh, because this one is in Japan. So they just don't even let us know where in Japan. I'm guessing JP is Japan. One in Texas. Ohio, Washington, and another one in Arizona. I have a huh now? What in the world is an iMac? Thank you for the $2, but I don't know what that is. What's an iMac? Is that a laptop? Thank you for the 10 again, Dreamcatcher. It's very, very interesting. I'm dying to make a comment. I'm interested to see if you think what I'm thinking about Payne's report. Oh, now I'm just really like more curious. Thank you for the $4.99 Tide fans. Were they drug tested? Was BK? As far as I understand, when someone's arrested, they're supposed to be tested. Now, when it comes to them, they're supposed to have been tested. I know that Howard Bloomblum, whatever, came out trying to say that the autopsy results for that were clear, but I don't see how whenever they were drinking, at least 2 of them were drinking their asses off. And now we've got a blue substance next to a $2 bill that's been rolled up for, okay. I don't know how that would be clear. So they need to like come on with it and you know, like give us more information because no. Y'all are still hearing something? Let me, you know what? Hold on. Let me open this up on YouTube and see if I can hear what y'all are hearing. No. I don't have anything with ice. I have my coffee. The cat's not up here. I took that off of here. My headphones were on here, but that's not doing anything because there's no noise coming out of it. If I have to buy a new microphone today, I'm going to be sort of upset. It sounds like water drips. What the frick? Sounds like tapping. Sounds like Morse code. How long has this shit been going on? Oh, Patty doesn't hear it. Okay, let me try to. Okay, I unplugged it and plugged it back in, but I don't know if it actually popped up the right one. We don't, this house doesn't have Apple products. The only Apple products that were ever in this house left whenever my daughter became an adult and moved out to go live where she wanted to live. Is it still making the sound now? What the frick, bro? See, okay, I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to go back on YouTube whenever I'm done with this and go back and listen and see what the frick it sounded like. That's crazy. All I did was unplug my damn microphone and plug it back in. Well, my mouse is laser. Well, I won't get to show it. It's like laser. I don't know. Scroll on the computer. What about now? Is it there now? Is it still doing it? Is it still doing it? What the frick, bro? What? It was like underwater sonar. Creepy. What in the world? Well, we're going to keep on reading these documents no matter if my FBI agent that follows me and has been following me forever likes it or not, so he can make whatever noises he wants on the damn computer. I'm going to keep reading it. So you're I don't have a mouse pad. Well, I guess I do have a mouse pad. It's a desk pad. So are y'all hearing it when I'm moving this? I'm not using my headphones. I mean, I'll unplug them hoes though. Nope, this is a stand-up desk. It's a motorized stand-up desk. It's hella secure. I'm not typing any keys either. I purposely am not touching the keyboard. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we'll see what happens now that I turn that down. Okay, if you hear it again while I'm like moving stuff around, tell me. A pain-sized drum. Oh, y'all are so... y'all are funny. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships, Jane. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Nope, I have no fan on. My air conditioner works great. Full speed ahead. Sup, Papa Rogers? Ain't seen you in a minute. Okay, good. Let's continue. I'm going to look now and be like, are they hearing it? Are they hearing it? Are they hearing it? That's crazy. See, now my kid's in the living room making noise. Do y'all hear that? Because he's hitting stuff together. Like he uses some wooden spoons to play drums. Do y'all hear that? Psycho Sven says they can still hear it. Creepy. Can't hear the kids. Okay. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I'll try to reconfigure some things in between lives. Yeah, it might have been my microphone because I had to unplug it earlier to use my USBs. Like nothing's touching it. That's crazy. I've never had that happen before. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay. No subscriber information, IP addresses, payment information, or customer records were provided. As these user IDs are associated with a knife sheath purchase before or after November 13th, 2022, I am requesting the assistance of the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to apply for a warrant for the following. Account information for the above named eBay users, subscriber information to include. Okay, so this is just like a secondary one that they sent through. Then they completed the warrant return and sent it through again. So they were just given like the states and stuff like we originally saw. Is it the scroll sound? I don't know why. No, I'm just furious with my computer. Okay. Number 40. This is from Lawrence Mowry. Maybe if I talk in between scrolls, you won't hear it maybe? It's worse when I touch it. Worse when I touch it. I don't know what to think about that. Okay, maybe I should go ahead and end the live and figure out what's going on and then come back later like I'd originally planned. I don't hear anything. That's my kid. I don't think that that's what y'all hear, but let me unplug my mouse, plug it back in, and then tell him to quit playing drums for a minute. No, I don't have anything over here. My phone is behind me on the shelf. Down there on the charger. How very strange. Okay, well, we'll continue on with these because a lot of people are saying they can hear it, but they can't really hear it. I don't know what's going on. I don't hear anything. There's nothing moving. There's nothing tapping. Like nothing's changed. And if it wasn't doing it at the very beginning, yeah, I haven't touched anything. So we're just going to continue on with these last 10, and then I'll figure out what's happening in between. Okay, this one is from Lawrence Mowry, and it's on 11/28 of 22, but he has it dated for the router interrogation that I guess started on 11/15 of 22. On November 13th of 22, I responded to 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, in an attempt to interrogate the wireless router located at the residence. After speaking with Corporal Brett Payne, he informed me the wireless router and cable modem were located in the living room on the second floor. After arrival, I used an Ethernet cable to connect my laptop to the local area network ports on the back of the Spectrum Wi-Fi 6 router with a serial number blank. Oh, they had Spectrum? Oh, they must have had shit Wi-Fi. The router then provided my laptop with an IP address and gateway IP, which resolved to the router. I attempted to locate a web-based management portal for the device, but was prompted to download the Spectrum app and use the account username and password to access the device. I contacted Spectrum technical support and found this was the only way for the client to access the data on this device. I then called the Charter Law Enforcement Response Team and spoke with a representative and tried to ascertain if Charter Spectrum could retrieve data from the router via their diagnostic portal. After several days, the phone calls to Charter, I spoke with TD, the manager of the Legal Response Operations Center. Dee stated her team was working on verifying if the router hardware was able to be accessed. On November 17th, 2022, I again called Charter and left a voicemail. Dee returned my phone call and stated her technicians were able to access and download the data from the router. However, they did not preserve the correct time frame specified in my request. So you did nothing. I was told she would have her technicians retry and preserve the data. On November 17th, 2022, I again called Charter and left a voicemail for Dee. I received a call back from Dee who stated the technicians were able to retrieve data from the time periods of September 14th, 2022 to November 7th of 2022 and November 11th to November 14th. Now, why the hell would you just stop and not take anything in between the 7th and the 11th? Unless that's like the portion of time that they originally preserved that wasn't what they wanted. Because why would you just leave like some days in between there? Oh, I guess it's right here. Okay. I was informed there was a problem with their cloud services that resulted in the data loss for November 8th through the 10th. I informed Dee I would be applying for a warrant and requesting that data with the legal process. From my training and experience, I know wireless routers allow wireless devices to connect to them for access to the internet or other devices on the local area network. During this process, after a device was successfully connected to the wireless router, a log of this connection and the specific MAC address of each device is kept on the device. If a user previously selected the connect automatically setting while connecting to the wireless router, which is a common default setting, the device will connect to the router automatically without any user input. These devices would have to be in close proximity of the router to be shown on the MAC address log. The data previously stored on the wireless router located at 1122 King Road and preserved by Charter Spectrum may show individual MAC addresses of devices connected to the device. If the suspect had previously connected to the wireless router, was in close proximity to the wireless router located in the residence, this device may have automatically connected and appear on the MAC address logs. This could provide evidence of when a device was in close proximity of the router on the night Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana, Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were taken. I requested the assistance of the Latell County Prosecutor's Office in applying for a warrant to serve on charter for the data records preserved and stored at Charter Communications associated with the Spectrum wireless router with serial number blank and MAC blank, and Spectrum cable modem with MAC blank and serial number blank from the time frame of September 14th, 2022 to November 14th of 2022. Why September 14th? On November 21st, 2022, I was granted a warrant for the data preserved by Charter and served the warrant at approximately 39 hours via email to that email address. On November 22nd, 2022, I received the email from blank stating the files were ready to download via the Charter portal. I logged into the portal, downloaded the files, and saved them to a computer in the secure forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Moscow Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to Charter, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. And that's that one. So now we go on to 41. I see that y'all are talking about Ethan's injuries. Those are really confusing because in the book, and again, this book was written after Stacy Chapin and the Chapins gave these people shit tons of information. In the book, it describes him as being stabbed in the butt area. It says buttocks a lot. That's a lot different than there being carvings in his legs. A lot different. Now, we did hear that from Annie Elise in the very, very beginning, from somebody that she claimed was like married to law enforcement or something like that. But that came out again in court. Like, I'm pretty sure it was stated and then it came out again in like a document because it was very specific. They used the word carved. Nothing in the autopsy say anything about that. They don't talk about injuries in that area. So I don't know. It's very questionable because you just don't know. Just don't have a single clue. Okay, this is Lawrence Mowry, 11/28 of 22. This is a phone warrant, and it looks like it's for Jack Decor. It says D phone warrant, but right here it's JD, and I'm assuming again that that's Jack Decor. Okay. On 11/17/22, Jack Decor was interviewed by Sergeant Mike Van Leuven from the Idaho State Police at the ISP District 1 office. At the time, he provided his phone. Is this Jack? Until I see something about being an ex-boyfriend, I guess I really can't use that. Okay. JD was interviewed by Sergeant Mike Van Leuven from the Idaho State Police at the ISP District 1 office. At the time, he provided his phone to Sergeant Van Leuven along with consent to search the phone. That phone is an iPhone XR with IME blank transported to the Coeur d'Alene Police Department Forensic Lab at blank in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I applied for and was granted a search warrant to access the contents of the iPhone. The phone was to be extracted by Detective Dustin Taylor of the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. Detective Mike Van Leuven had taken the phone to Dustin Taylor at the Computer Forensic Lab at Coeur d'Alene Police Department. I emailed a copy of the warrant to him at 16:43 hours on November 17th of 2022. Let me move it. On November 18th, 2022, while confirming Detective Taylor received the warrant, I was informed the phone was no longer at Coeur d'Alene Police Department. Idaho State Police Lieutenant Paul Berger picked up the phone from Taylor and delivered it to the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, where investigative analyst VJ received it. The data on the phone was forensically extracted at that location. On November 19th, 2022, Idaho State Police Detective Rich Alderson retrieved the phone from the forensic lab and delivered the phone to Dee's mother per the attorney's wishes. On November 21st, 2022, Detective Anderson of the Idaho State Police provided Sergeant Van Leuven with a USB drive containing the extraction. Sergeant Van Leuven then provided the USB drive to me, and it was placed into the secure forensic lab at Moscow Police Department. An examination will need to be completed at my earliest convenience. So whoever this was, they have an attorney. Okay. Since the warrant was not served, I did not complete the warrant return receipt as nothing was collected. Court documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. Okay. Number 42. Again, written by Lawrence Mowry. Initial interviews. So this should be shit about Dylan. All right, here we go. This should be interesting. 11/28 of 22 is when this was written. But the initial interview date is 11/15 maybe? Or that's just whenever they gave the case a number, I guess, a whole 2 days later. Okay, whatever. On November 13th, 2022, I was directed to interview potential witnesses in regards to the incidents at 1122 King Road. The following interviews were conducted at the Moscow Police Department. Dylan Mortonson, with a date of birth of 2003, with the address being 1122 King Road. What if I do it this way? It doesn't make any noise. Okay. On 11/13 of 22, Dylan Mortonson was interviewed in regard to the homicide investigation at 1122 King Road. Dylan said she was a resident of the house where the incident occurred. Dylan said she was at a blank party at around 10:30 hours on 11/12 of 22, where she was drinking. So by the time the girls left to go to the corner club, Dylan was already out of the house somewhere else. Dylan said she went to blank house. Is that the treehouse place? Dylan says she believes she arrived home between 12:30 and 1 o'clock on 11/13. Dylan says she thought Bethany arrived home at around 20 minutes after she got there. Dylan said she believed Maddie and Kaylee arrived home around 1:30 or 2 on 11/13. Dylan said up to this, nothing weird had happened during the night. Dylan said she and her friend L, whoever the L person is, came home, followed by Bethany from blank. From what? Dylan said L lived at the blank house and Bethany was her roommate at the residence. Dylan said when Maddie Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves came home from the corner club at the same time and everyone went to bed. But that's a freaking hella lie. Like, just this portion right here is so much different than what Nunez got out of her and the original people got out of her on scene. Because what happened to Vampire Diaries and being in the living room and all this other bullshit? What happened to all of that? So this is where the story started changing on paper. Right here. This is where she started to physically lie to the police. Dylan was asked about the layout of her house. Dylan says Kaylee's room was directly above her room. Dylan says she lived on the second floor and Kaylee lived on the third floor. Dylan said Kaylee and Maddie both live upstairs on the third floor in separate rooms. Dylan said Xana lived closest to her bathroom on the second floor and Bethany lived on the first floor. Oh, here we go with Murphy. When asked about Murphy, Dylan said it was a dog owned in common between Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend, Jack. Dylan said there were no apparent issues between Kaylee and Jack. Dylan said Maddie had a boyfriend named Jake who was in Boise at the time of the incident. Dylan indicated Xana was dating Ethan Chapin, who was in the room with her at the time of the incident. Dylan did not know if anyone who would want to hurt Ethan when she was asked. Dylan was asked if she saw any cars in the area that should not be there. Dylan said, no, I was not really looking at that. But there was also mention of like headlights or something being seen in a window. So there's that too. Dylan says she woke up at around 4 o'clock on 11/13/22, where she could hear, I know he did not put HERE for hearing. Okay. Where she could hear Kaylee and Murphy, the dog, dancing. So it went from, I heard a scream and my roommate was woken up by a flashbang, to now we're here where they're dancing with the dog. What happened to Vampire Diaries? What happened to Vampire Diaries? Dylan said she knew it was Kaylee because she recognized her voice and could hear Murphy barking. Dylan says she heard Kaylee go upstairs and say, "There's someone here." Did she say it or did she scream it in a panic? Because, there's a difference. Dylan said she thought she heard Kaylee run back down the stairs. So it went from Ann Taylor saying that Dylan apparently physically saw this with Murphy at her heels to now she's just hearing the positioning that someone's doing the movements. Dylan said Kaylee sounded scared when she made this statement. So you hear screaming, you hear scared screaming, you hear someone running around, and you still don't do anything. Dylan said at this time she jumped up and locked the door because she did not know what else to do. Dylan said she called out Kaylee's name and did not indicate if she got a response. Dylan said she then tried to call Kaylee, Xana, and Maddie on their phones. Dylan said Dylan was asked if she saw anyone come downstairs or heard anything. Dylan said, "No, I don't even know how they got in. We're usually pretty good about locking doors and never had problems before. It was just really random." The back door didn't lock. The slider didn't lock. So now she's sitting here lying about how secure the house normally is because not only did the back slider not lock, but everybody in the mama had the PIN code to the front door. This is where the lying starts, right here. When asked again about the series of events, Dylan said she opened the door when she cried out to Kaylee, then closed the door because she was scared. Dylan said she then opened the door again and heard who she thought was Kaylee, but could have been Xana, crying in the bathroom. Not in the direction of the bathroom, but physically in the bathroom. Dylan said she then heard a man's voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." The original reports, there's an additional sentence to that. Dylan said it was weird because the statement was not in a nice way and the voice was one she had never heard before, so it had a tone to it. Dylan says she called out to Kaylee again and there was no crying after, and she did not know what happened after that. Dylan said she opened the door again and the guy was right there. Dylan described the male as approximately her height, which is 5'10" or a few inches taller, not skinny, but athletic build. Well, Bryan Kohberger is thin. He looks bigger than he is because of all of the gear they have underneath his clothes whenever they're transporting him and he's sitting in the courtroom. But if you look at his wrists, you're trying to tell me that wrists that are like half the size of mine with wherever that bone is, like completely just like hella sticking out like a golf ball, that he has the ability to do something 70 plus times in a matter of minutes, 5 to 7 minutes? Not leaving a trail in between, leaving it all in the room is real nice and clean. I'm sorry. That doesn't make any sense. Not skinny, but athletic build. Dylan said the suspect was wearing all black with masks that covered just his forehead and goes around his face. Masks, more than one? Dylan showed with her hands the mask exposed his nose, but covered the mouth area. So like I said before, like this portion. Dylan says she believed the suspect was white, but did not remember eyebrow color or what his eyes looked like. Dylan said when she saw the suspect, he saw her and just left. Okay. Dylan says she believed he was holding something near his stomach or belt line. Okay. Dylan said she believed he was holding something near his stomach or belt line. Dylan used both hands to point straight out from her abdomen. Dylan then moved her hands apart and back together to simulate a bulge. So like something was being carried. Dylan said this area was black in color and she thought now maybe it was a pew-pew. Dylan said the unknown object had an arrow shape. Well, that would be more like a knife blade. An arrow shape. Dylan really seemed unsure and said she was tired during the event. No, you were intoxicated and out of your mind, hallucinating during the event. Dylan was asked how long she believed it was from the time Kaylee said someone is here to when she saw the suspect. Dylan says she thought it was about 10 or 20 minutes. I'm sorry. That changes a lot. Full on 20 minutes changes so much. But then again, how would she know the timing of it? Because she was so out of it. Because in their timeline, this is like a handful of nothing. But to say it could have been 20 minutes, that's a long time. Dylan went on to say she was in and out of it, and she did not fully remember the incident. But that's not true either, because you're adding a contact to your phone at 3:51 in the morning. So unless you're going to try to say that somebody snuck into your room and added a contact to your phone at 3:51 in the morning while the DoorDash is being delivered at 3:59 and you're in and out of sleep, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. That's just as stupid as believing the story of Jack and Lily Sullivan's parents of in and out of sleep all morning and don't know what happened to the kids. That's just as ignorant. Just as ignorant. Dylan was asked where the suspect was in the residence when Dylan saw him. Dylan said the suspect was between her bedroom door and the kitchen. Dylan said she remembered watching the suspect go out the kitchen door and leave. This part right here pisses me off so much because they literally lied to us from the very beginning, saying that they don't know how the person got in the house. They don't know how the person left. And in the PCA, it just says that she sees the dude in the direction that he's walking. It doesn't say a damn word about seeing the physical human walk out of the door. Insane. Insane. Dylan said at this time she closed her door and locked it as fast as she could. Dylan said the suspect did not walk towards her or say anything. Dylan said once the suspect left, she immediately called Bethany. Dylan said Bethany informed her she heard a sound that sounded like a firework. Amazing that they don't put that information into the conversation. Maybe it was a gun. Maybe there was something shot at or shot for intimidation purposes. Because depending on what kind of weapon it was and depending what other things were attached to it, it could sound like a firework and have a light in the dark. You know, I mentioned something about a pew-pew being used for intimidation purposes, which is why no one was actually able to escape, was because somebody had something. I said that at the very beginning of this case. I think even before we had an arrest, I wondered if something like that was used to keep everyone in the house. Because how do you not have Kaylee running downstairs from the third floor, freaking the hell out with the dog, and no one runs out the room? No one runs out of the house. But I also question the legitimacy of the stories because they change so much when it comes to what Dylan and Bethany were really doing. So while Dylan is calling and telling her, I just saw this person in the house. Oh my God, I don't know what's going on. Bethany's like, oh yeah, girl, I know. I heard a firework. And they just completely don't even bother telling us that in the damn information that they have released. Dylan then said she told Bethany she called everyone and they were not answering. Dylan said she was in and out of it and believed everyone was just asleep. No, you didn't. You literally are telling everybody else. You're telling Emily. You're telling Emily that at the time this is going on, you can hear them talking in the living room on the couch. And the other reports, you literally said some shit about watching Vampire Diaries. So no. No. None of these even make sense. None of these bullshit stories make any sense. Dylan said she then went to Bethany's room, locked the door, went to bed. Dylan, that's a lie. You were on your phone all freaking night. That's a freaking lie. The fact that she just didn't think they were going to see all of their phone stuff is wild to me. Dylan said she then went to Bethany's room and locked the door, went to bed. That's a lie. Dylan said she woke up at around 11 or 12 and called her roommates and no one answered. Dylan said she called H. So this is where Dylan literally tells the cops, I didn't call Emily. I called Hunter straight up. Dylan said she called Hunter. Hunter came to the residence, went upstairs and told Dylan they needed to call law enforcement immediately. Dylan was asked if there was anything else she wanted to share. Dylan said the noise, Bethany described the noise as a loud boom, but Dylan did not hear it. So you hear screaming, but you don't hear the loud boom. And Bethany hears the loud boom, but she doesn't hear screaming. I'm sorry. And again, we have Emily doing interviews saying, Dylan called me. I even joked with her because, you know, she does this all the time. But Dylan is telling the cops straight up she called Hunter. Dylan was asked if any of the other roommates shared any weird experiences in the last couple of weeks or calls or text. Dylan said no, it's all been normal. Nothing weird at all. Nothing really weird happens in Moscow usually. Sure. When asked if there were any altercations at the blank party, Dylan said no, everything was normal. Dylan mentioned again she was with D and Xana at the party. Who's the other D person? David? So hold up. Are they trying to say that Dylan was actually at the party at Sigma Chi where Xana was? Because we've been hearing that Bethany was there, but are they trying to say that Dylan was there too, and for some reason they just never told us that? Dylan mentioned again she was with D and Xana at the party. Okay, so when Ethan left to go with Maisie to the formal, did Xana go straight to Sigma Chi, or was there something else in between? Because the way the book lays it out from those interviews is that whenever Ethan got to Sigma Chi after the formal, like whenever him and his brother got there, Xana was already there. And so my question I wrote down in the book was, well, what time does she get there? Because we don't have that time. But is this trying to tell us that Dylan was at that damn party too? Okay. I think the D would be David. Unless there's a female, another female that's name starts with a D. Dylan was asked if anybody was having relations with anyone. They shouldn't be. And she said no. Well, like she would admit that. Anyway, let's just be so for real. And honestly, I wonder if that was asked because this is David. And because David was with Xana at the party, that's why the cop asked that. Context clues matter. So that's the only thing I can think about why that question would come up, is this is David B. Dylan brought up an incident which occurred about a month prior. Dylan said she and, I'm going to assume this means Bethany, remembered Kaylee saw a shadow while she was taking Murphy outside. Dylan said Kaylee also mentioned when she was at blank 2 or 3 weeks prior, an individual was following her. Okay, but all the other stuff about there being a stalker has been proven false. Dylan also said she arrived home one time and the door to the residence at 1122 King Road was found open. Well, that's because everybody in the mama in the neighborhood knows the PIN code. So you can only go too far with that one. Dylan said she did not believe the slider door was locked the night of 11/12/22. We've been told by Steve Goncalves over and over again that it didn't lock. And the book even says it out of Emily and them's interviews about how there was just a way that you just like pop this little piece up and the door just popped open. There was no lock. You couldn't secure the door. You could not secure that backslider. Dylan said she hears Murphy barking a lot around 4 o'clock on 11/13 when Kaylee went upstairs. Dylan said she heard Murphy go outside barking as well. So she's trying to say that she was in her room and she could hear the difference between Murphy barking on the outside of the house and to the inside. Dylan was unsure if Murphy would chase a suspect outside. Dylan said she did not remember if the suspect who ran left the slider door open. Okay, well, did they run out the damn door or did they walk out the damn door? And why are you telling the cops you called Hunter when everybody else is saying that you called Emily? That's crazy to me. Because remember, we're being told now that Hunter didn't even wait for Emily. Like, he heard what was being discussed on the phone and he just took off. Didn't wait for them at all. Just took off. So much of this was not ever said to us. Like, how do you have them hearing a loud bang, something that has a loud freaking noise like a firecracker and light like some sort of military operation or some sting? Like, how do you just not tell the public that that's what she freaking heard? Are we serious right now? This is an interview with Hunter. Okay. Now, even in this, it's saying that Dylan called Emily. So why is Dylan telling the cops that she called Hunter specifically? Hunter said around midnight on 11/13/22, Dylan called Emily, which is Hunter's girlfriend. No, this wouldn't be midnight. This would be noon on 11/13, the 911 call, right before the 911 call. Dylan told Emily she thought something was not right in her house. Dylan also told Emily she heard or saw a man in her house the night prior. Dylan asked Emily and Hunter to come over and make sure everything was okay because she locked herself in Bethany's room. Sure you did. Hunter said he was the first person to get to the residence. Hunter said he entered the code to the front door where Bethany and Dylan were in Bethany's room on the first floor. No, you didn't. That door was wide open all day. So if the door was suddenly closed, then somebody got up, Dylan, Bethany, and closed it. But the way the book says it is that Dylan and Bethany were outside whenever Hunter got there and whenever Emily got there. They were outside of the house already, and both of them had hands covering their mouths. So which story is true? I am so tired of this. Which one's true? Come on. This is why I wish they would just take over all the satellites. Okay? All of the satellites, all these hundreds of thousands of satellites from all of the countries up above us are literally tracking and recording and watching everything we do. So whenever a kid gets snatched up out their front yard and is never to be seen again, I call bullshit. Because there's no way that you can't take that coordinate, that GPS coordinate, pop it up into a satellite and go back and watch who snatched that kid out that yard and exactly everywhere they went. So whenever it comes to this kind of crap, how there's all this inconsistencies about who did what and when and where and how, the answers are all up there. Why can't we access it to where we stop all this bullshit? So many things could be alleviated if we would just stop playing stupid. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm so tired of the dumbass bullshit. You did not enter the damn code. You can freaking lie somewhere else. Hunter said he went up the stairs and immediately went... Oh, there's one more sentence here. That Dylan and Bethany were telling Hunter they did not know what was going on. Hunter said he went to the stairs and immediately went to Xana's room. Hunter said this was the only room he went into. Hunter said when he approached the door, it was only partially open. Hunter said when he opened it, he saw Xana and Ethan. Now, the other reports that we read last night said that he didn't even pay attention to the fact that Ethan was in the room. That's what it said. Hunter said he initially did not realize all of the red was dried red in the room. Hunter said he thought at first they had been drunk and left a mess. What kind of messes are you used to, Home Skillet? Hunter said when he stood there for a moment, he began to realize what he was seeing. Hunter said Bethany and Dylan were uncontrollably crying. Hunter said he told them to get out of the house and call law enforcement. Hunter said he then went to the kitchen and grabbed a knife from the drawer. Hunter said he then went into the room and checked the closet to make sure there was not anyone else in the room. We heard that too. Hunter said he checked for a pulse on both Xana and Ethan. The other report said he didn't. That he only checked Xana's, that he didn't check Ethan's. It literally says, but not Ethan's, or something along the lines of, but didn't check Ethan's. Hunter said both of the bodies had rigor mortis and were cold with no breath or pulse. Hunter said he believed the two had been deceased for a while. Hunter said he believed he left the knife on the folding table in the living room. Wasn't it like the ping pong table or something like that? Hunter said E, J, and L, which would be Emily, Jenna, and I don't remember the L name, started to enter the house, but L would be the other unknown female, maybe? But Jenna's the one that said that, Jenna said she's the one who got the phone from Dylan, but then again, the court records say that the damn 911 call was from Bethany's phone. Like the transcript says it's Bethany. So even who made the call and who took the phone, like who was the person that the phone got taken from, even that's not like consistent. Like you were there. You don't know whether you took the phone from Bethany or Dylan. And if you took the phone from Bethany, the way the transcript says, why the frick are you saying you took it from Dylan? And if you really took it from Dylan, why is it saying that Bethany is the one who made the call? Why do we not have that? I'm so tired of this. This is so ignorant. Straight up ignorant. Okay. Hunter told them to get out of the residence whenever they started to come up the stairs. Hunter said this was about the time Moscow PD arrived on scene. Hunter said the officer told him to stay where he was at. Hunter said he did not know if anyone else was upstairs as he had not gone anywhere else in the house. Hunter said he had trouble comprehending what he was seeing. Well, what we're also hearing is that he was like just in the living room by himself. Now, granted, it wouldn't have been for a long time because the call was made and within like 2-ish minutes, the cops showed up. But he was still like in the living room, apparently alone while everyone else was outside. They make that pretty apparent. in like a lot of different things. The book, the report. So yeah. Hunter said he was not at the blank party the night before. Hunter said he and Ethan were texting the night before by phone. Hunter said Ethan wanted him to come over, but Hunter chose not to. Hunter said he knew Ethan since fall of 2021. Hunter said he was in blank and Ethan was a member of blank. This is where we found out that in the book, Ethan was apparently thinking about joining, I think it's Theta something, that Hunter Johnson was in, but that instead he chose Sigma Chi because of its stature. He said L, who was also present, was in the fraternity. So that's a dude. Who's L? That's the dude. Okay. Okay. And it currently was dating Jenna. Okay. So that's also the guy who knew Jack Showalter, because Jenna makes a comment about how her boyfriend knew Jack Showalter. Hunter said he and Elle stayed at Jay's apartment with Ethan. Stayed at, I'm going to say Jenna's apartment with Emily and Jenna the night of 11/12/22. He was asked when was the last time he was at 1122 King Road. Hunter indicated he was last at the residence on 11/12/22, where he was pre-gaming for the Vandals football game. He said he got to the residence at around noon or 1 and left at about 14:30 hours to go to a different party. The book says out of Hunter's face from the interview that he was working something. Because it says something about how Ethan asked Hunter to go to the game. And he was like, oh yeah, no, I can't. I got to work. Something like that. I'm eyeballing the book right now. I got to go back and look at it. So I'm trying to like remember how much of this is like the same as what we've already heard. Okay. He said the last time Emily was at 1122 King Road was Friday, 11/11/22. Hunter did not know if anyone who had issues with Emily. Oh, wait. Why do they have Ethan's name? Hold on a second. Hunter did not know of anyone who had issues with E and Xana dating, and then goes on to say that they were dating for approximately 8 months, and then they don't have Ethan's name blocked out. So why in the frick would you have Ethan's name blocked out up there? Stop the dumb shit. Like, seriously, just stop the dumb shit. Hunter estimated Xana and Ethan were dating for 8 months. Hunter said he knew Xana very well through his girlfriend, Emily. Hunter said he was not very familiar with Maddie or Kaylee. Hunter allowed pictures to be taken of his phone of the conversations between him and Ethan. Now, this is an interview with Jenna. Jenna said she texted Bethany at 11:20 on the morning of 11/13/22. Jenna asked Bethany if she was awake. Jenna said Bethany called her back at 11:49 hours. Bethany told Jenna she and Dylan were in Bethany's room. Jenna said Bethany was freaked out because her roommates were not answering the phone. Jenna said she heard Dylan on the phone in the background saying, I saw something. Jenna said Bethany asked her to come over to 1122 King Road and pick her up. Jenna said Bethany texted her while she was driving there and said Emily and Hunter were on the way as well. Jenna said she arrived as MPD units were arriving as well. Jenna said she did not go to the blank party. There's something, like, I'm trying to figure out what it looks like. It could be an S blank party, but went to a different one instead. Jenna said Bethany and Dylan came to this other party after she left. So Bethany and Dylan were together at a party. Were they at the same damn party? And they haven't told us that Dylan was there this whole time? This is so stupid. Jenna estimates Dylan left her party at around 12:30 and Bethany left her party at around 1. Now, remember, it says that Bethany saw Xana and Ethan at the Sigma Chi party at around like 9 p.m.-ish. Is it like 8 or 9 p.m.? It's one of those two times. But they don't say like if she saw them continuously at another time, how long they were there together, or any of those things. It's just like a passing thing. And it also is something that is different in the PCAs. The one that Payne writes and the one that Blaker writes, I think Payne doesn't have the information where it has like the time. But in Blaker's, it does have the time that Bethany claims to have seen them. Jenna said she was in blank with DLB and Xana. Dylan, whoever the L is, Bethany and Xana. Jenna said Xana and Maddie were both in blank, but they dropped out, and Kaylee was in blank, but dropped out as well. That must be the sorority names. Jenna suspected the girls dropped their respective sororities because of issues with other girls in the houses. Now, I know that Kaylee went off on the sorority president for like the COVID stuff because they were having to pay fees for being like living in the sorority, even though because of COVID, they not only were not allowed to be in the sorority houses, but they weren't allowed to be on campus either. So they were paying full on tuition, not being able to get the same accommodations, the same access to stuff. Plus they were having to pay dues for a sorority they couldn't even do shit in. So she apparently kind of went head to head with the sorority president. It's probably something to keep in mind. Jenna suspected the girls dropped out. Okay, Jenny specifically cited girls on the executive board who tell other members what to do. Jenna suspected that this was what they did not like. Jenna confirmed she, Elle, Bethany, and Dylan were still active members in blank. Jenna said the girls who were still active members of the sorority who chose not to live in the house did so because of money issues. Jenna said Maddie was Bethany's big sister in the sorority house. So it's cheaper to pay rent in a room off campus than to pay your sorority house rent? That's disgusting. Jenna said she knew Kaylee saw a dark figure staring at her from the tree line when she took her dog Murphy out to pee. Is this the same day? Or is this the shadow she was talking about before? Jenna said this occurred about, a month ago at 1122 King Road. So this is the one from before about Kaylee seeing a shadowy person watching her. Jenna said there has been lighthearted talk and jokes made about a stalker in the past. Can we not joke? Can we not be lighthearted about a stalker? Jenna said all the girls were slightly nervous about it being a fact, though. Jenna did not indicate any social media issues or issues between the girls who lived together. Jenna said there was no issues with the girls from the blank sorority and the residents of 1122 King Road. Jenna said the front door had issues with locking, and sometimes it could be opened without a code. So we have no lock whatsoever on the back door, and then the one in the front could just be opened sometimes without even trying. Jenna said she did know the code to the front door. Jenna said she was unaware if the residents kept the back sliding door locked regularly. So how can can the cops tell us that there was no stalking when she literally was going around and telling people that somebody was actually watching her do things, and more than one occasion? Did they find out that the stalker was like associated to something, and so they had to try to ixnay those rumors? Because what other reason would there be? Unbelievable. Okay, so this is interview with the LB person. This is a man, a boy, a guy, whatever. L said he did not go to the blank party. L said that he went to sleep at 2000 hours on 11/12 of 22 at Jay's apartment on Taylor Avenue. Oh, this would be Jenna's boyfriend. So Jenna's appointment on Taylor Avenue. Apartment. L said he woke up at around 2 to 3 hours, 2 or 3 in the morning. L said that he, Jenna, and Emily were up talking in the living room of the apartment until about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry? We also were told in the book that Jenna left her phone outside. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, she goes outside and gets her phone from the car. And then that's never Hunter all of a sudden gets a hair up his butt to lock the door when they never locked doors before. So that's interesting too. So they were up from 2 to 5, completely awake the entire time the incident's taken place. They better mention how they hear Murphy barking, because they're close enough for that, aren't they? Maybe not. That's wild. Continuing. L indicated Hunter was present but not awake during this time. So then why are they saying that he got up at 3 o'clock in the morning after Jenna came back in from getting her phone from outside, and that's never Hunter locks the door? None of this shit is consistent. None of this shit is consistent. L said. They all went to bed at this time and woke up again when he about. Oh my gosh. I need to calm down because I'm getting so aggravated with the inconsistencies. They all went to bed at this time, which would have been around 5, and woke up again around what he thought was around 9 a.m. L said Hunter and Emily came into the room where he and Jenna were. Elle said Dylan had called Emily at around 10 o'clock in the morning and sounded scared. Okay, now we have 10 a.m. Elle said Dylan told Emily someone had been in their house that night. Elle said Dylan said Bethany. Elle said Dylan and Bethany ran downstairs and locked themselves in a room where Bethany was supposed to have already been down there. Elle said Dylan informed them she did this because of her seeing someone in the house, and Dylan could only see his nose and his chin. His nose and his chin, but his mouth was covered and his eyes were out. I'm sorry. She could see his chin? I think you're confuzzled. Elle said Dylan was freaking out and wanted them to come over to 1122 King Road. Elle said he walked with Emily and Jenna to 1122 King Road from Jenna's apartment on Taylor Avenue. Elle said Dylan and Bethany walked out of the house crying. Elle said Hunter arrived to the residence first because he left before them. Exactly. They got the call and he just jetted. He didn't care what was being said. He just took off, which is odd to me. Elle said Hunter arrived on the scene first. Yeah. Okay. Elle said he went into the downstairs door and Hunter told him not to come up the stairs. I love how this whole time we haven't been told that the boyfriend was there either. We've just been being told that it was Hunter, that it was Emily, that it was Jenna. We're not being told that the boyfriend of Jenna's was there too until now. Elle said he did not know Ethan very well. Elle said he did not recall any talk between Xana and Jenna about boy issues. Elle said that he did not see anything on social media. Elle recalled an incident from about a month prior where Dylan said there was a guy stalking her. Elle said he did not hear anything from the night prior. So not only do we have stuff from Kaylee that she's telling other people about multiple different instances that, again, the cops would have known this. The information is in this damn report. So, A, who told Mark Garagos that she was being stalked to make him come out and say something on the news? And why, after it being in the report several times, as she told several people about several different things, was this not taken more seriously? And then they came out and were like, yeah, no, there wasn't anything. But now we also have Dylan apparently saying somebody was watching her too. They all need their badges taken. All of them. Take them all. Take them all. Lawrence Mallory. This is number 43. eBay user warrant again. On November 29, 2022, I found I received 2 emails from Snapchat dated November 28, 2022 at approximately 1700 hours. These emails provided links to download the data requested pursuant to the 2 warrants served on Snap on November 21st, 2022. The files were downloaded and saved onto the computer located in the secure computer forensic lab located at the Moscow Police Department. In examining the files, I located the user ID blank who showed subscriber information of somebody with the initials RP. The data showed R purchased a K-Bar USMC brown leather knife sheath for 7-inch blade, Marine number 1217 on August 14th, 2022 at 3:29 in the morning, UTC time. I located 2 younger males associated with R in TLO. I have found TLO to be generally reliable in previous investigations. Those males appear to be TP and KP. Are those brothers? Two years apart, brothers? In reviewing the first person's, those males appear to be this person's sons. Okay, so the dad and his 2 boys just get in trouble a shit ton? From how it sounds. In reviewing R's eBay account, it appears he purchases and sells military memorabilia and equipment. I informed Sergeant Dustin Blaker of this information for follow-up. I completed the warrant return, receipt, and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to eBay, and this was the originating email address associated with the documents. So RP and his 2 boys. Okay, whoever you is. Okay, number 44. Lawrence Mallory again. Now this is Snapchat warrants. On November 21st, 2022, I requested and was granted a warrant for Snap. Now, again, these warrants are all on the public website. They're redacted. But we've seen like the original warrant paperwork for all of this stuff that we're reading so far. Long time ago. All those videos are all still out there. Every document that has come out, we've done videos on. And I'm glad that we did, because if anything gets changed, if anything gets removed, I mean, I have copies of pretty much everything that I've seen, but just in cases, it's also on video in review. And so I'm probably actually going to start moving some of that stuff over to like an archive type channel. I've pretty much like started it, but I haven't really put anything on it. But I feel like it needs to be archived. Like not the theories, not the things that we've like thought of, but like the actual official information and the changes as it changed, like the factual changes. It needs its own archive. So that's kind of the plan with that one. Okay. So these were requested, and it's for JD, DM, and BF. So Jack DeCore, Dylan, Mortonson, and Bethany Funk. On November 21st, 2022, at approximately 18:27 hours, I logged into the Snap Inc. law enforcement portal located at that address and served the warrants. I received an email from blank providing me with internal case ID and case ID blank. On November 28th, 2022, Snap Inc. sent 2 emails stating the files were ready to download. On November 29th, 2022, I logged into the portal and downloaded the files provided pursuant to the warrant. These files were downloaded to a computer in the secured computer forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department. An examination of the data will be conducted at my earliest convenience. Must be nice to just do things whenever you want to. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were also sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to Snap, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. Okay. Now we have number 45. Okay, cell phone warrant return. And this is again from Mallory. Okay. On November 17th, 22, I began to receive. Which one? I began to receive data from the cell phone providers in response to the warrants served on them. At approximately 13:52 hours, I received an email from blank at sfnotifications.com informing me the files from Verizon for the requested phone call detail records and tower dump data was ready to be downloaded. I logged into the share file portal and downloaded the corresponding files. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to the Verizon at blank sfnotifications.com, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. At approximately 15:30 hours, I received an email from RB at Inland Cellular. This email included files containing the data requested regarding the tower dump. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to the RB inlandcell.com email, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. At approximately 15:30 hours, I received an email from AT&T informing me the files from AT&T for the requested phone call detail records and tower dump data. I logged into the Global Legal Command Center portal and downloaded the corresponding files. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy to the AT&T email address. On November 18th, 22, at approximately 13:23 hours, I received 2 emails from T-Mobile. These emails included files containing the data requested regarding the T-Mobile call data records and tower dump data requested. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to T-Mobile, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. Okay, that's it for that one. Here is number 46, and it's again written by Lawrence Mowry, and it's regarding an amended warrant for T-Mobile. On November 26, 22, I requested and was granted an amended T-Mobile tower dump data warrant to include devices within a 2-mile radius. The original warrant included only half a mile. On November 26, 22, at approximately 20:59 hours, the warrant was served on T-Mobile via email at blank@tmobile.com. On November 28, 2022, I received an email with the files provided pursuant to the warrant. These files were downloaded to a computer in the secured computer forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department. An examination of the data will be conducted at my earliest convenience. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court, and there was a receipt copy sent back to T-Mobile. Okay, so that's just like his groundwork for the warrants. Witness phones. Okay. Lawrence Mowry, 11:30 of 22. On November 13th of 22, I was directed to interview potential witnesses in regards to the incidents of 1122 King Road. During this process, I was tasked with extracting data from the following phones. This would be... Who the frick is MC? Maisie Chapin, maybe? DM Dylan, BF Bethany, JD Jack Decor, EA Emily Allant. I keep wanting to call her Emma. I guess because Jenna, Emily, my brain keeps thinking just like Emma, but it's not. It's Emily Allant. And MC, I don't know if that's Maisie Chapin, because I feel like that first name is a lot longer than it would be for Maisie, Maizie. Maybe it's longer. I received signed consent forms from M, D, A, and C. I was informed by Corporal Brett Payne. F provided verbal consent for her phone. That'd probably be Funk to be extracted. The phones were... So again, there's nothing like signed by Bethany. She sure likes being like the difficult one, right? Like the opposite of like everything else happening. She always wants to do something different. The phones were extracted using the following forensic software. They use Celebrite. There's lots of issues with Celebrite, though. As a matter of fact, I need to like find time eventually after all of these documents, and hopefully I remember, because my list, there's 50 different lists everywhere. Someone sent me an article about Celebrite and about how they basically like don't want you to know that they exist. They don't want you to know that they exist. They are a company that wants to be in the shadows because of the sneaky ass shit that they allow law enforcement to do. So they don't want you to know that they're even a thing. The article is all about it. It was really, really good. I read about half of it and I was like, damn, this company is shady as shit. Upon completion of the extractions, the phones were returned to their owner as promptly as possible. The data extracted was saved to a computer located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. A forensic examination of the phones will be completed at my earliest convenience. He sure likes to say that. Meaning, I'll get to it when I get to it. Let me do things at my earliest convenience and see what don't get done. I'm just saying. Okay, this is Aaron Morris. This is a vehicle center stack booking. I guess this is their vehicles, possibly. I'm not really quite sure what this means. Ford center stack and Chevy center stack. On 11/30 of 22, I assisted the FBI with removing the center stacks from Ethan Chapin's Ford Explorer. I'm sorry? Ethan has a red Jeep. Like, it's literally at his parents' house right now. His dad still washes it and talks to it like he's talking to Ethan, all the things. What you mean Ford Explorer? I'm going to look over here now. Who the frick? Anybody else know that Ethan had a Ford Explorer? He has a red Jeep. It's at his parents' house. That's what I'm going to ask. What the frick is a center stack? What is a vehicle center stack? Because I know what a center console is, but there wouldn't be like any data in that. That's not even where the computers are normally held. A Ford, no, if you're saying that Maisie's is a car, then that's not the same thing. They said Hunter walked over there. Control bearing surfaces is what it says. A vehicle center stack refers to the control bearing surfaces in the center of the front of the vehicle interior. It includes the dashboard and the area beneath it, often merging with the transmission tunnel. The center stack is where the gear stick is typically placed, especially in vehicles with a gear stick. So like manuals, not automatics, manuals. It has evolved to include a variety of storage compartments, cup holders, and sometimes even refrigerators. So it is sort of like the center console that goes in through the dashboard underneath, like where the radio and stuff is, where all the wiring and everything is. But where the frick did this Ford Explorer come from? So it was Maisie's. Because an Explorer is an SUV. Yeah, I've been trying to tell people that forever now, JB. Yeah. Ethan had a red Jeep. It is literally at his parents' house as we speak. Possibly part of where the car SIM card is. Yeah. Possibly, yeah. I mean, I don't know why in the fuck they have this in here. Like, I'm sorry, but this is getting stupid. Y'all know I try not to like throw F-bombs everywhere, but I've said 2 so far today, and I'm sick of this. He had a red Jeep. So why don't they have it in here? Center stack from Maisie Chapin's Ford Explorer. Like, it's wrong in the evidence files. And Madison Mogen Chevy Cruze. Once the center stacks were removed, I booked them into the Moscow Police Department as evidence. I photographed the serial numbers and attached them to the case. Well, it wasn't Ethan's. I mean, what date is this? This is 11/30. At this point, it's been 17 days. So they have the wrong information. That's the problem. The reports are so every freaking where. Names are screwed up. Names that we know what they're supposed to be because of the context, because of how long we've been doing this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. Now we're at number 49. And this is again Lawrence Mowry. And this is for iCloud warrant services. Okay. So this was written on 12/1, and it's a narrative for 11/28. On November 18th, 2022, I applied for and was granted warrants for the iCloud accounts with the following identifiers, and it's one Yahoo account and then something else, and an IMEI, and then iCloud, something else, and 3 IMEIs. On November 19th, 22, I applied for and was granted a warrant for the iCloud account with the flowing identifiers. Do these people not have spell check? Oh, I guess spell check wouldn't have done that. They don't have like grammar check, because I know that like whenever I'm writing my emails, if I'm like writing a sentence and I get done with that sentence and like something looks out of order, it highlights like 18 words in the sentence and was like, look, chick, something's wrong here, fix it. I'm just saying. Another Yahoo account. And then on November 21st, 2022, I applied for and was granted warrants for the iCloud account with the following identifiers. So for this one, it's telling us it's Kaylee's. Or at least this one's Kaylee's. Or maybe they forgot to like, maybe they didn't mean to leave it there because everyone else's doesn't have a name, but it has Kaylee's name on here. These warrants were served via email at blank@apple.com. On November 21st, 2022, I received an email from Apple stating the data for the iCloud accounts associated with blank@yahoo.com and blank@yahoo.com were available to download. I downloaded the links to the files and began downloading the files to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. On November 22nd, 22, I received an email from Apple. Okay, this is basically going to be all the same thing. On the 22nd, he got the email from Apple saying that it was ready to download, so he did what he did. On November 23rd, he got another one from Apple saying that there was information for another account ready, so he downloaded it and put it where it needed to go. And for November 25th, he got another one from Apple saying that that information was now ready, so he downloaded that too. On November 29th, he received information from Apple for a phone number that was available, and he went ahead and downloaded those as well. And he sent all of the copies where they needed to go, and that's basically the entire document right here. Okay, we're on the last one for this 50 drop, and it doesn't have to be redacted, so I don't really know like what's going to be in it. Okay, so this is just somebody going and picking up the cell phones from wherever they were to be looked at. So this is Justin Dean. This was on 12/1 of 22. On November 29, 22, I was asked to pick up 3 cell phones and a hard drive from Detective Chris Ruchert of the Walla Walla Police Department. I met with Detective Ruchert at approximately, is it Rucher maybe? I'm thinking Cajun-y. Rucher? I don't know, at approximately 11:55 hours and took possession of the 4 items. I drove back to the Moscow Police Department where I handed the items to Detective Lawrence Mowry at approximately 14:30 hours. And that's it. So that must be the 3 for, that must be for Xana, Ethan, and Maddie, because there was one time that they brought phones back to Coeur d'Alene, really, but it doesn't say anything about them being with the Walla Walla Police Department. So where did we get they went to Walla Walla in the first place to drop anything off? How'd they get to Walla Walla? We didn't even see anything about that. I guess maybe they're missing one. Let me check the portal real quick to make sure that there's nothing else. Because I know that they did do the case summary. And they have updated the case summary with all the restitutions and stuff like that. Now, that's another thing I'm really questioning. What is the motive with the restitutions for somebody who is going to be like in jail for the rest of their lives? I don't really quite comprehend that, because he's never going to be able to pay him anything. But I'm really curious as to if this was done so that there couldn't be any sort of civil suit. Because I know that like there's statutes of limitations for certain things that have apparently already passed for like certain reasons they can't do anything to the university or whatever. But I wonder if this restitution was put like this out of nowhere because it really wasn't ever discussed before, I guess. Because this maybe stops the Goncalveses from maybe filing a lawsuit for wrongful death and getting more discovery. I've questioned that. Because that's just crazy to me. I mean, I get the point that some people have when it comes to it, but I don't see the point if he can't get out and he can't make, I mean, I know that there was like no stipulations for him being able to make money off of doing anything, but I don't know. It's just very odd. Apparently they take 20% of anything he gets. I don't know how it works. Like, do they not just already have that law, like in Idaho? Like, honestly, that should be a federal law altogether that you're just not allowed. Like, Gypsy Rose should not be able to be making any money whatsoever off of anything that she did. I don't care what side of the camp you're on that one. She shouldn't be allowed to do all that. Idaho laws for... Ooh, learn how to spell, chick. There is no son of Stam law. Oh, that's insane. Okay, I literally typed in Idaho laws for criminals making money off of their crimes, and it literally says something about Bryan Kohberger in the definition. Let me share this page because I didn't even type in crap about him. I didn't say a word about him. Nothing. And this is the answer that it's showing me. Let me pop this back up. This is dumb. Idaho does not have a son of Sam law, which is a statute that prevents criminals from profiting from the publicity of their crimes. This means that Bryan Kohberger, the former criminology PhD student, could legally write a tell-all memoir from prison and potentially make money from it. However, the families of his victims could sue him in civil court for emotional distress or wrongful death damages, preventing him from profiting off the tragedy. This is Idaho.gov's like legislative website that it sends me to. So I'm guessing it's just the AI that gave me that answer that has his name in it, because I didn't even type anything about him in there. Here's what I wrote. Wild. Wild. Interesting. Okay, it's 5:45. I've got to go do some things. I will probably be coming back out here to go through some more at like 8. Maybe 8:30. Because that gives me about 2.5 hours to do stuff. That's wild. Okay, yeah, there's just so much. There's a lot here. Okay. Oh! And my bracelet just broke. Well, that's what I get for stretching the shit out of it all the time whenever I'm aggravated. Okay, I'm going to get off of here. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anybody saying anything, because I don't want to miss you guys saying stuff. Okay, thank you for the 99-cent super sticker, Tide fans, and the $1.99. Thank you so much. Thank you for the $2.99, Jody. Thank you for the 10, Senor tiny baby goats. That's actually hilarious. Front door open for multiple hours during a crime when outdoor temps are 30 degrees and no one gets cold enough to close the door even at 10 a.m. I know that's another thing that a lot of people brought up whenever we first heard the rumor about the door. So this takes it from it being a rumor, because now it's in a police report. Again, it's just something that somebody is saying, but now it's like logged as in a report. So that's wild. Petty, I appreciate the 5, but I know the situation with that in the background probably a lot more than a lot of people who just view things do. So yeah, I'm just going to leave that one alone. Thank you for the 10, Christian. Bethany said she saw a flash, but how would she see a flash from her bedroom on the bottom floor? Also, there was a Glock 40 in the evidence collected. Do we know whose pistol it is yet? Yeah, we do. It was Bryan's. Whenever we go through, or whenever we went through, is it Josie instead of Jenna? There is a Josie, but there is a Jenna too, isn't there? I've been saying the wrong name the whole time. Why do I keep saying Jenna? There is a Jenna. Isn't there a Jenna McClure or something like that? I'm not quite sure. Pretty sure, though. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I'll have to go back and check. There's too many names. Too many names. But no, when it comes to this, and thank you for the $2, by the way. But when it comes to this, no, there was several weapons taken from Bryan Kohberger's parents' house. They actually said that whenever they arrested him, which the book is a lie, he wasn't in the kitchen. That's where he was being watched through a scope on a pew-pew. He was actually in his room, and there was a Glock by his bed, which, I mean, samesies. So that's not abnormal. But there were several weapons like that and a couple different knives and stuff that were taken. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a way that they can maybe tell if it was used in the last like 6 weeks or not. I mean, I'm sure there's testing that they can do, but I don't know how like efficient it is. I'm not really quite sure. But there was lots. So I'm not too sure. And welcome, DKM. And welcome, Aaron. Don't forget we have our members only live this Monday coming up. But I'm going to go ahead and get off of here so I can go do some things. And then I'll be back to go over some more of this stuff. Thank you so much for spending the last 3 hours and 18 minutes here with me to go over these. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for listening to all these and caring about the actual, like, everything and not just jumping into all the juicy stuff to find out what you can get to, because there's no telling what's being skipped and missed. We're going in order as thoroughly as possible. Thank you so much for you guys being here. Let me go ahead and throw this one out. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.